the all-new SiriusXM app.
Oh, yeah!
Get closer to everything that moves you, wherever you are, with the SiriusXM app.
Let's make some smoke and drink some beer! Yeah!
If you love golf, then you should never turn off PGA Tour Radio. Hear from the biggest names in the sport.
Champion golfer of the year is Xander Schauffele.
I think best round of golf ever in my life.
Listen to special shows from people who love the game, like rock and roll legend Alice Cooper.
There's a putt, must be 90 feet long, and you make that putt.
And get help with your own game.
You'll get through your iron shots and have predictable distance.
It's all golf, all the time, on PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92 in the car, and on the SiriusXM app.
Hello, Blue Jay fans. I'm Craig Ballard, host of your daily Locked On Blue Jays podcast. Locked On Blue Jays is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On Blue Jays brings you the latest Blue Jays news and analysis and breaks down all of the action. Locked On Blue Jays is everything a Blue Jays fan could want, all in a 30-minute daily podcast. Download Locked On Blue Jays right now on the SXM app, available with all trials and popular plans, or wherever you get your podcasts. Search Locked On Blue Jays.
This slams a ball to right field, way back, way gone. Is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Low rounding and heading for second to throw. In time
on the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Prepare for a powerful pitching matchup in St. Petersburg. The Blue Jays and Rays bats struggled for much of yesterday as Tampa Bay eked out a 1-0 series opening win over Toronto. Inexperienced starters Yariel Rodriguez and Taj Bradley now have a tough act to follow in Game 2. Hi and welcome to Toronto Blue Jays Baseball, which is brought to you by the local family-owned Crown Rust Control Centers in Etobicoke and Streetsville, Ontario. Protect your vehicle from rust today. Find your local family-owned Crown at crown.com, Canada's #1 rust protection. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Streetsville's Chris LaRue. Show Ali is our host, Nick Blackmore is our producer, and our technical director is Tom Young. Yariel Rodriguez takes the ball for the Blue Jays, coming off the back of 2 earned runs allowed in his last 12 1/3 innings. Meanwhile, Rays hurler Taj Bradley has struggled in the second half, but shoved against Toronto at Rogers Center in early July. First pitch is on the other side. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, streaming on the Sportsnet app at sportsnet.ca and across the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Timber Mart is Canada's building center, a solid neighbor to call upon when you've got a job to do. Your dependable home improvement store that offers the added value of Air Miles reward miles with every purchase of $15 or more. Visit timbermart.ca.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Beat the rush. Protect your vehicle with Canada's #1 rust protection today. Find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
We're 2 men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think 2 men and a truck, since you know they have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap, pack, and move everything you own. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're 2 men and a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
Timber Mart always has plans to help you with your plans. Your home, your cottage, your garage, whatever needs your attention first, check the most visited spot on our website for ready-to-order plans to get the job done with Canada's building center. Visit timbermart.ca.
Congratulations to Shohei Ohtani on becoming the first player in Major League Baseball history to hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases in the same season.
He swings, hits a drive to left. This ball's back. There it is. Number 50. He is incredible.
Talk baseball. Experience history all day, every day on MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM 89, and the all-new SiriusXM app.
SiriusXM NFL Radio is your home for the National Football League all year long on Channel 88 and on the all-new SiriusXM app.
Radio Network.
Game 2 of Blue Jays Rays, the final road series of the season, about to get underway. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Going into next year, the number 5 starter might be one of the biggest topics of discussion for Toronto. And today we're going to get one of our last looks this season, Chris, at Yariel Rodriguez.
Well, over the last 3 starts, I've really liked Yariel as a starter. 3 starts before those 3 starts, not so great. 15 earned runs in 14 and a third innings. So it all depends on what Yariel Rodriguez we get. If he's commanding the fastball, if he's commanding his off-speed pitches, that's the Yariel Rodriguez that I want to see in the starting rotation. If he's not that guy, he has to be in the bullpen. To be a big league starter, you have to command your fastball. Yariel Rodriguez has done that over his last 3 starts.
He might be one of the Blue Jays with the most to play for over these last 8 games for Toronto. Before we get into game 155 of the season, let's go back to today's host. Here's Show Ali.
Thank you very much, guys. Welcome back inside Baseball Control, everyone. Show Ali with you. As Ben and Chris were talking about, we await first pitch at the Trop in Florida. Yariel Rodriguez, Taj Bradley, your pitching matchup. Before we get there, however, let's hear a little bit from John Schneider, the skipper, joining Blair and Barker for their weekly chat from the Trop.
How do you think he comes back from this? Because it seems to me that one of the things Bo used to tell us every year, that he goes home in the offseason, tries to get better at one thing. Mm-hmm. How do you think he's going to handle this?
I think he will handle it like he handles everything else. You know, he's going to be motivated. He is going to be right to work as soon as he can get to work. And he's going to, try to take a positive out of this. I think that you look at this year for him, for us, I think 2025, when you look at it, baseball God should have his back next year.
Yeah, exactly.
He's been too good for too long. So we joked about that a little bit, but I think he's going to attack it. He's going to, crush his offseason like he normally does and be ready to roll.
John, is Yariel ahead of schedule or behind schedule in his process?
Yariel, I think he's probably right on. The last month or so, I said this a couple of days ago, I think the last month or so, we've really seen him take a step forward with kind of what he's doing in between. I think it's really helped him to stay on a regular turn, albeit his outings have been a little bit shorter just in terms of innings, but I think he's got a pretty good grasp of what it takes to be a starter at this level. And there's going to be more, I don't want to say bumps, but more of a learning curve in the offseason and how he prepares for next season. But I think he's right where he should be. And over the past month, he's taken a big step forward.
That is the skipper, John Schneider, chatting with Jeff Blair and Kevin Barker. You can listen to the whole conversation on the Blair and Barker podcast feed, wherever you grab your favorite podcasts. All right, let's check on the Bet365 standings, where you can watch thousands of live games, build your own bet. You can even make a bet while the game is still being played. 19 plus, play responsibly. Ontario only. The season rapidly wrapping up across Major League Baseball. Let's look at the AL East. One team has already clinched a playoff spot. That's the New York Yankees. They're at 90-64. The Orioles are 86-68. They lost a whole whack of games in the last couple of weeks. So they are 4 games back of the Yankees with a handful to play. The Red Sox are 76-78, as are the Tampa Bay Rays, the Blue Jays' opponent today. And the Blue Jays themselves, they are 73-81 entering play today. If you're curious, the only other AL team to have clinched a playoff spot entering play today are the Cleveland Guardians. They are 90-65. They're 7.5 games up on the Royals in the AL Central. So they will likely win their division, barring, something really crazy. But as it stands right now, the playoff picture around the American League, the Yankees, Guardians, and Astros are the division leaders, 1, 2, and 3. And the wildcard spots are currently occupied by the Orioles, the Royals, and the Twins. The Detroit Tigers are a game back of the Twins. The Mariners are 2 games back. So still a couple of playoff races to be sorted out as we get down to the final stretch of the 2024 Major League Baseball season. Let's get to the starting lineups. Here's John Schneider's lineup. George Springer's batting leadoff. He is DHing today. Nathan Lucas is batting second. He's in left field. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is at third base today, batting third. Batting cleanup is Spencer Horwitz at first base. Alejandro Kirk is catching, batting fifth. Batting sixth is Addison Barger. He is in right field. Davis Schneider is batting seventh. He's at second base. Leo Jimenez is batting eighth at shortstop. And Joey Loperfido is in center field. He is batting ninth. Yariel Rodriguez pitches for the Blue Jays. For the Rays, here's Kevin Cash's lineup. Yandy Diaz is DHing. He is batting leadoff. Brandon Lau is at second base, batting second. Batting third is Junior Caminero. He is at third base. At first base, he had the only run in yesterday's ballgame. Jonathan Aranda is cleaning up. Batting fifth, Christopher Morel is in left field. Josh Lowe is in right field. Batting sixth. Batting seventh is Jose Siri in center field. Ben Rortvedt is catching. He is batting eighth. And batting ninth is Taylor Walls. He is at shortstop. Taj Bradley pitches for the Rays. All right, we are getting close to first pitch at Tropicana Field. Let's get you over to the action with the call. Here's Ben Schulman and Chris LaRue.
73 and 81 Blue Jays about to take on the 76 and 78 Tampa Bay Rays at Tropicana Field. It was a day without much offense yesterday. Only Jonathan Aranda's solo home run put a run on the board as the Rays defeated the Blue Jays 1-0. Toronto looks for a little bit more out of the bats today, but they'll take on a young right-hander with a lot of talent, second-year starter Taj Bradley.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Taj Bradley today. He's taken a big step from his rookie season last year, a 5.6 ERA last year, a 4.39 ERA, and this year, and a big fastball.
And there was a point in the season that kind of culminated in his start in Toronto where he was just about as good as anyone in baseball. He had about as tough of an August as you could have, but he's been a bit better in September. He winds for the first pitch and delivers to George Springer, 96 on the inside corner, strike one. Time of the first pitch today is 4:10 Eastern, roof closed as always at Tropicana Field. Bradley's 0-1. Swing and a chopper in between short and third. Backhanded by the shortstop Walls, and he throws over to first. One out. First inning is brought to you by Armstrong Bird Food. Bring nature to your backyard with Armstrong, feeding Blue Jays since 1986. Visit ArmstrongBirdFood.com. That stretch I was talking about where he was doing really well, he made 9 starts from June 8th to July 25th, where he allowed only 5 earned runs in 55 innings. His pitch to Nathan Lucas, strike one. But in August, September, his ERA has been almost 8, and he gave up 5 or more earned runs in 4 of his 5 August starts. His 0-1. Inside with a sharp cutter, 1 ball, 1 strike.
But the stuff is there. The fastball sits 96 to 98 miles an hour, sometimes 99, and he throws a really good split finger. That's his second best pitch, but I mean, he's only 23 years old. You can't really expect too much out of him right now.
1-1 pitch high, 2-1.
But everything is there. The physical tools are there.
5th rounder by the Rays in 2018. 23-year-old stands 6'2", 190 pounds. Right on left, his pitch to Lucas. Fouled back into the backstop, 2-2. Bradley, born in Los Angeles, but drafted out of a high school in Stone Mountain, Georgia, a little bit east of Atlanta. 1 out, no score. Base is empty. Top of the first. The 2-2 pitch. Downstairs with the splitter, 3-2.
There was that split finger, 92 miles an hour. You can see it looks like a fastball out of the hand and then kind of just dips at the tail end. Not a ton of movement, but very good arm action.
Righty's payoff pitch. Fastball hit back foul, 97 up and in, and Lucas doing a good job to spoil it.
What else is new?
It goes on for Nathan Lucas, who's playing his 15th game of the season, batting .333, 3 doubles, 2 triples, 7 RBIs. Another 3-2. And a fastball hit high in the air to shallow right field. The second baseman, Lau, is going out there, and he makes the catch. 2 outs.
Well, that pitch was actually almost unhittable. 97 right at the hands. You could see the frustration from Nathan Lucas after he made contact with that baseball. I'm pretty sure he just didn't want to swing at that pitch. There's no way he could have done damage on that pitch. 97 up and in.
It might have been ball 4, but you only have so much time to react when it's 97 like that from Bradley. 2 quick outs in his pitch now to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Fastball inside, ball 1. Vlad was 1 for 4 yesterday, batting .322, pardon me, with 30 home runs. 1-0. Cutter for a strike. Home plate up today is David Rackley, Nate Tomlinson at first, Derek Thomas at second, and Larry Vanover at third. 1-1. Inside, 2-1. Right arm sleeve for Guerrero on his lead left arm matches the red batting gloves. Bradley winds and delivers. And misses low with a splitter. 3 balls and 1 strike.
Kind of looks like Taj Bradley doesn't really want any part of Vlad right there. A 2-1 split finger that really wasn't near the zone.
Hard to blame him. 3-1. Fastball foul tipped. Strike 2. Came back with a perfect pitch, 97, and on that upper and inner corner of the zone. Full count, 2 outs, no score. Top of the first inning. Taj Bradley against Vladimir Guerrero Jr. The right-hander waves off a signal. Now he has what he wants. Payoff pitch. Fastball fouled back. 97, but middle.
Yeah, that was just a challenge pitch from Taj Bradley. And if you're Vladimir Guerrero Jr., you have to think that you want that pitch back. That is a very hittable pitch.
Another 3-2. Swing and a fly ball fouled. 98 middle inning. Guerrero sends it toward the Ray bullpen. I think they were trying not to move again, but that one quite literally landed on the bench that they were sitting on, so a couple Rays relievers budged.
Normally it's just the ground ball ones that you don't want to move on, but if something's coming at your head, you probably want to move out of the way.
It's a good game of chicken going on yesterday if you weren't with us. 3-2 once more. And this one sent out to right center field on a line. That's a base hit for Guerrero. Cut off in center by Siri, and Vlad has a first inning single.
That's such a great piece of hitting. He fouled off some really tough fastballs, 97, 98, up at the hands, and then he got a splitter down and away, and he just hammered it to right center.
For Guerrero, that's his 189th hit of the season, surpassing his hit total from 2021, now a new career high in hits for Vlad. Spencer Horwitz up, Bradley in the stretch, the pitch. Fastball lined up the middle into center field. Horwitz at first, Guerrero moves up to second. Spencer Horwitz jumped all over that middle down heater and rocketed it over the head of the pitcher Bradley.
Yeah, Spencer Horwitz did not waste any time. That was 96 down in the zone, but middle. Spencer Horwitz absolutely cranked that thing up the middle.
102 off the bat for the left-handed hitter who mans first base today. Guerrero, the runner on second, will play third for the Blue Jays. Catcher Alejandro Kirk is up now as the Blue Jays threaten in the first inning. 0-0, 2 outs. Bradley looks at second and deals home. Miss up and in, ball 1. Rays starters come into this game on a run of 19 consecutive scoreless innings. They have shut out the opposition in each of the last 2 games, the Blue Jays and the Red Sox. 1-0. Curveball for the first time and misses low, 2-0. That's the only real big change of pace pitch for Bradley, the curve. Everything else is in the 90s, but that one can be high 70s, low 80s. His 2-0. Fastball hit down the right field line. That's going to slice out of play, 2-1. Second straight start for Alejandro Kirk. He was 1 for 4 yesterday. Batting .247 on the year, 17 doubles, 5 homers, 49 RBIs in 96 games. 2-1 offering. Again, hit foul to the right, 2-2.
Good job. Tough pitch right there. 97 down and away in the strike zone. The only thing Alejandro could do right there is foul it back. Having a pretty good AB.
Blue Jays have hung tough so far in the first inning against a tough righty in Bradley. Made him throw 22 pitches. Runners on first and second, 2 down, and the 2-2. Just outside with the cutter, and I mean just maybe half an inch off the plate. That's a gutsy take by Kirk. He gets the right call from Rackley. Full count.
Yeah, crowd didn't like that call, but pretty good take right there from Kirk.
Runners will get the head starts now from second and first, Guerrero and Horwitz. The 3-2. Swing and a pop-up. Back behind the plate, out of play. Still a full count.
Man, they are making Bradley work. He's about to throw his 25th pitch of the inning.
Kirk doing a good job there of fouling off a 2-strike pitch. He actually turned to David Rackley, asked if it was high after the pitch, and Rackley responded with yes. It was just a little bit above the zone. Bradley's pitch. Swing and a fly ball, right field line, slicing into foul territory, racing over Josh Lowe, but he runs out of room. Kirk puts another one into the seats, and he'll see another pitch here. Next one will be the 8th of the plate appearance.
And that was another fastball that probably was ball 4, but too close to take, especially at 98 miles an hour. Such a small window to make your choice, and now Alejandro Kirk doing a good job staying alive here.
Kirk's going to take a second and get the pine tar stick on his handle, get a little more grip on that tan bat. Now he steps back in. Pant legs hiked up for Kirk. Today the Blue Jays wear the deep blues with gray pants. Rays are in black uniforms with different colored neon font. 3-2. Swing and a fly ball right field. Routine for Josh Lowe. Jogging in into the left, he makes the catch and ends the inning. It took 26 pitches, but a scoreless top of the first for the right-hander, Taj Bradley. 2 hits for the Blue Jays, 2 left. We go to the bottom of the first, and Yariel Rodriguez is on the mound next. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Which Looney Dogger are you? The Fork and Knifer, Splatterer, Condiment Queen, or Big Dipper? This season at Rogers Center, every Tuesday home game is Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneider's. You will have the opportunity to purchase $1 hot dogs from various concession stands around the stadium. Then show the world your Looney Dog style. Because whether you're the mustard maven or ketchup king, no Blue Jays game is complete without hot dogs. So don't miss out on this deal. Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneider's, every Tuesday home game.
We're 2 men in a truck, the movers who care. You never know when cardiac arrest can happen. That's why each and every one of our trucks carries a life-saving Mikey defibrillator as part of our Mikey on Board program. Whether we're on the highway or in front of your house, we're prepared to help anyone whose heart may skip a beat. The Mikey Network has saved many lives, making Mikeys accessible to the public. And now they're on board our trucks. We're 2 men in a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we introduced in-game betting. Because when the game starts, the action doesn't stop. With in-game betting, you can wager on game props, player props, totals, and the money line. And remember, in-game, you can track your same-day parlay with the option to cash out. Check out in-game betting and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Must be 19 years or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connexontario.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Jose Barrios with a trio of strikeouts to end a scoreless 6.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
20th start of the season for Yariel Rodriguez about to commence. The right-hander getting the baseball from third baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as we welcome you back to the bottom of the first. Welcome to the Timber Mart broadcast booth. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Rodriguez takes on Yandy Diaz to start his day. Cuban righties 1-6 with a 4.29 ERA. He steps to the left, brings the glove up, kicks and deals. Fastball fouled off the mask of Kirk. David Rackley checks on him. He's all right. It's 0-1. Four-seamer and sinker for Rodriguez, slider and curve, and a splitter. Is 0-1. Four-seamer misses outside at 95. 1 ball, 1 strike. That's pretty good velocity for Rodriguez.
That's a pretty good sign. And like we talked about early on in the broadcast, he has to throw strikes early in counts, get ahead of these hitters, and then he can mix in those off-speed pitches.
His 1-1 is a fastball over the plate, hit foul, 1-2.
Looks pretty good so far. A couple of 95-mile-an-hour fastballs, really well located to a really good hitter. That one right there, relatively hittable, but had some life through the zone.
Rodriguez nods. He likes the signal from Kirk. Kicks and deals. Slider down and away, taken for ball 2. More than likely the Rays' toughest hitter batting right now in Yandy Diaz, the batting champion last year. 283 hitter, 30 doubles. 2-2 pitch is a slider lifted to center field. Joey Loperfido has a beat on it, curling toward right center. He'll make the catch. 1 out.
I know it's a small sample size, just one batter, but we've seen so often this year when Yariel struggles, he just can't throw that fastball for strikes early on in ball games. And it's not 95 miles an hour. It's 91, 92, even sometimes 89 to 90 miles an hour. So for him to be 94, 95 early on in this ball game and filling up the strike zone, that's a good sign.
Rodriguez working from the wind again. His pitch to Brandon Lau with 1 out. Fastball outside, ball 1. It was a longer meeting with John Schneider than most days on the road today, and a lot of talk about Yariel Rodriguez. Schneider mentioned maybe using the fastball a little bit more. 1-0. Breaking ball hit on the ground and through the whole right side into right field, a base hit. Hung the curveball there to the top of the zone, and Lau struck it well to get it past the second baseman, Davis Schneider, for a base hit.
I don't mind that pitch choice right there. You're trying to steal a strike. You're behind in the count. He's pretty confident with that curveball, throwing it for strikes, but it's just the location. That curveball there was at the top of the strike zone, a very hittable pitch, and Brandon Lau hammered it to right field.
So Lau on first, 1 out, and Junior Caminero up to the plate. Starting at third base again, the 20-year-old Caminero hitting .248. Hit his 8th double yesterday, also 4 home runs in 35 games. Rodriguez now working from the stretch position, kicks and deals. And it's a slider popped up behind the plate, 0-1.
And that's a good point that John Schneider brought up, that Yariel so often this season has thrown so many breaking balls early on in the ball game. You have to establish the fastball. You have to throw it down in the zone for strikes, and then you can mix in those breaking balls. I can't be the only one that notices that.
0-1 pitch is a slider cut on and missed. Dropped the arm there a little bit and got a little more side-to-side movement. It's 0-2. Schneider acknowledged that especially a reliance on the slider might be a little bit of the reliever brain for Rodriguez leaking in still. Hadn't started since he was pitching in the Cuban National Series years ago. 0-2 is a slider cut on and miss, strike 3. Rodriguez, to his credit, throws 3 sliders to Junior Caminero and strikes him out on 3 pitches.
Yeah, that last one was really good. Looked like a strike right down the middle, and then darted left, took a quick left turn, and Junior Caminero was way out in front of it.
So a good bounce back from Rodriguez after the Lau single. Rays have a runner on first, 2 outs, no score. Home half of the first inning. Jonathan Aranda, a left-handed hitter, comes up. Open stance. The pitch. Fastball, strike 1.
I mean, I'm pretty sure someone has said to Yariel this season, probably Pete Walker, hey, it's not 1-0 in the 8th inning. Throw your fastball.
Yeah. If you get hit, you get hit.
Right.
0-1. Runner goes, pitches high and outside, throw to second, and they nailed him. Kirk throws out Brandon Lau by a mile, and that'll do it for the first inning. No runs on a hit, nobody left, no score after 1. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
From study beats and tailgate party anthems. Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. To informative podcasts and live college football.
30, 20, you're not going to catch him. The brick breezes into the end zone. Touchdown!
Add some school spirit to any moment this fall.
This is my fight song.
With with an all-new collection in the SiriusXM app. Just search Back to School. SiriusXM has everything a college football fan needs.
He's in trouble and down he goes. The ball comes out.
All the big games are on the SiriusXM app.
Down the sidelines midfield. It's a race. Picking them up. Putting them down.
Plus, hear daily in-depth analysis on College Sports Radio, Channel 84.
There's not a lot of holes or weaknesses on that football team, and they've got the goods where you want to have the goods for a championship caliber roster.
Our experts get you ready for game day every day on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app.
If you want to win your fantasy football league, you need to listen to Fantasy Sports Radio. From lineup decisions to daily fantasy to waiver wire advice, injury updates, and so much more.
You cannot afford to drop a running back.
Our experts will help you dominate.
I think there's value there on Austin Eckler in PPR formats.
Set your lineup with Fantasy Sports Radio. Your home for fantasy football all season long. Channel 87 and on the all-new SiriusXM app. Fantasy football players, from start-sit decisions to waiver wire advice. Win your fantasy football league with Fantasy Sports Radio. Channel 87 and on the SiriusXM app.
Sportsnet Radio Network.
The second inning is presented by Bet365. At Bet365, you can bet live in-game on game props, totals, and the money line. Download the app and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 19+, play responsibly. Ontario only. Addison Barger leading off, checks his swing on a cutter inside from Taj Bradley. Ball one. Welcome to the Timber Mart broadcast booth. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. No score, Blue Jays and Rays. The 1-0. Fastball a little bit high, 2 balls and no strikes. We had talked about a little bit after that top of the first for Bradley. A lot of misses up top with the fastball. 2-0. Another miss high with the heater, 3-0.
Yeah, it almost seems like he's overthrowing just a little bit. Really hasn't found that release point yet. And that's part of the reason why he isn't the great pitcher that he can be, because he hasn't been able to repeat the delivery.
3-0 heater over the plate, strike one.
And you see a fastball right there, 94 miles an hour. He took a little bit off of it, and it was perfectly placed. Maybe that's where he has to live. Maybe he's not a 97, 98 guy. He just has that in the tank.
His 3-1. Misses upstairs at 96, ball 4.
That arm's really dragging it. He's just trying to overthrow right now. You see that a ton with young pitchers. He's just 23 years old. He really has to learn that strikes are more important than velocity. I'm sure that'll come.
I know it was, a little bit different arrow-wise in terms of how much velocity was valued, but did you have any of that coming up? Did you want to throw as hard as possible to impress guys and try to stick?
Of course.
Pitch to Davis Schneider is a cutter low, just barely low, ball 1.
I mean, I coming up in the minor leagues, when you're in high school, when you're trying to get drafted in college, velocity is everything, right? You're not a prospect unless you throw X miles per hour.
Runner on first, no outs, the 1-0. Schneider checks his swing, 96 at the knees right there for strike one.
And then ironically, when you get to the big leagues, you don't stay in the big leagues unless you get guys out.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with velocity. It has nothing to do with stuff. If guys are getting out, you stay in the big leagues.
We might see Ryan Yarbrough today, who's never really even thrown 90. 1-1. Swing and a chopper, foul, third base side, picked up by Caminero, 1-2. The Rays have had a lot of young, talented, hard-throwing pitchers, but whether it's some of the inconsistency for Bradley right now or mostly the injury that a lot of them have suffered, there's been a bit of a give and take over the last couple years. 1-2. High, 2 balls, 2 strikes. We'll see Shane Baz tomorrow, who has spent a lot of his career on the injured list. Yesterday, Shane McClanahan was on the Rays TV broadcast rather than in the dugout all the time because he's been hurt. 2-2. Fouled back behind Schneider. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes. Davis Schneider standing right on that Mendoza line now. 200 batter, 19 doubles, 13 home runs. Starting at second base today. More infield starts in the last couple weeks for Schneider. with Bo Bichette out and a couple outfielders brought in. 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike three. Runner takes off, throw down to second, and the tag was put on, but the ball skips out of the glove of the second baseman Lau, so Addison Barger will be safe.
Yeah, if Brandon Lau held on to that baseball, he definitely would have been out. Addison Barger would have been out at second base, but I believe that Addison Barger ran in or slid into the glove of Brandon Lau, and it knocked the ball out. Pretty strong throw from Rortvedt back there.
That's where the extra squats and bench press work out for Addison Barger, like a linebacker coming in to make a tackle. His shoulder went right into that glove hand and forced a fumble. He's on second, one out. Leo Jimenez swings and misses at a tight splitter, 0-1.
And watching that replay, Brandon Lau did in fact catch that baseball. Addison Barger, sure enough, just knocked it out.
So Barger in scoring position, second stolen base in the majors. And with one out, the 0-1 pitch. Jimenez chops it over the mound to the second baseman Lau, who picks it up and sidearms over to first for the out. Barger advances to third on the play, but 2 down.
And how about that? Leo didn't get hit by the pitch.
I'm going to knock on it's plastic in front of us, but I'm going to knock on it anyway.
A rare occurrence.
16 hit by pitches. An unbelievable number right now for Leo Jimenez. Number 9 hitter Joey Loperfido steps up now for the Blue Jays. No score, top of the second. Barger on third. Bradley's pitch. Swing and a miss, strike one.
That's a really good split finger. If he can harness that, if he can repeat that delivery and that release point with that split finger, that's going to be a good pitch for him.
Oh, 1. Swing and a ground ball right side on the run, picked up by Lau, the second baseman. Awkward throw across his body, but he gets it to first to beat the speedy Loperfido and end the inning. No runs, no hits, one left for the Blue Jays. 0-0, middle of the second. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
We're twomenintruck.ca. We've got lots of men and lots of trucks, so get ready to be moved.
Think 2 men in a truck, 2menintruck.ca. So when you gotta move, all moving day. Think 2 men in a truck, 2menintruck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2menintruck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks, so give us a call today.
It's time to celebrate you with the Party at the Ballpark. On Friday, September 27th, dial up your fall wardrobe with the Blue Jays Fanal Giveaway presented by TD.
They go back-to-back in the bottom of the ninth. How much fun was that? It is loud here at Rogers Center, and 40,000 are chanting his name.
Get ready for good vibes and a chance to win great prizes.
What a weekend with the Blue.
Hey, Insiders. It's hockey season. Our Leafs are back on the ice Sunday, September 22nd at Scotiabank Arena against the Ottawa Senators. A Battle of Ontario will be live right here on Toronto Sports Insider. I can't wait to see all of you back from hockey season. We'll see you guys back in the chat. Please make sure you are subscribed and turn on that bell so you don't miss it when the Leafs are playing. If there's a Leafs game, it's live. It's on Toronto Sports Insider, and we're hanging out together, chatting it up, having some fun. Go Leafs, go. Back to the chat.
Gets Verdugo for his 7th strikeout.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
We are just a few days away from Jays Care Split the Pot Grand Prize Draw, and you could be one of 10 winners splitting over $1 million. If that's not exciting enough, you could still win all-inclusive vacations and groceries for a year through Jays Care's add-on raffle. Visit bluejays.com/5050 to get your tickets from Ontario or Nova Scotia. Jonathan Aranda leads off the bottom of the second, takes strike one from Yariel Rodriguez on a curve. I'm Ben Schulman. To my left is Chris LaRue. No score, Blue Jays and Rays in Game 2 of the series. Next pitch is a fastball upstairs, ball 1. It was the same 1-1 count Aranda was facing when Brandon Lau was caught stealing to end the bottom of the first inning. Just another runner added to the very nice season for Alejandro Kirk. 1-1 pitch, high, 2-1.
Yeah, Alejandro Kirk has always been such a great defender, really good framer, great blocker, and that arm has gotten a lot better over the course of the season this year.
For Kirk, at 25, caught stealing. 2-1. Inside, 3-1. And you compare that to last year. So Kirk's made 85 starts now this year, 84 last year. He threw out only 15 last season, and his percentage was about half. 3-1 pitch, outside ball 4, and it's a leadoff walk issued by Rodriguez.
Yeah, that last fastball right there, 94 miles an hour, wasn't really close. A little bit of overthrowing right there on that 3-1 pitch.
We saw Rodriguez attack for the most part in that first inning. That's always what you're talking about when he's on the mound right now. Tries to get back to that here against Christopher Morel, right-handed hitting left fielder. From the stretch, the pitch. Fastball outside, ball 1. Morel, a 197 batter, 21 home runs and 57 RBIs. Split his season between the Cubs and the Rays. 1-0. Swing and a miss. Some may take a lot from this, some may not care at all, but the expected numbers for Morel say that he should be doing a lot better than the actual numbers. 1-1 pitch hit foul, 1-2.
How do they calculate those?
It has a lot to do with quality of contact. So if you hit the ball hard, you hit it with line drive launch angles, your expected numbers are going to be higher.
So you're getting so they're saying that Christopher Morel is getting a little bit unlucky.
Yeah. And I don't think it's fair to say, well, he should be exactly at his expected numbers. But the Cubs even echoed that sentiment when they traded him away, that they felt he was a bit unlucky this year. 1-2 pitch, chopped foul.
I tend to agree with that. I'm a little on the fence with some analytics, but I agree with that. You see a lot of guys just getting bleeders and slow bouncers through the hole, and their average tends to creep up a little bit. And then you see some guys that absolutely rake, and the ball that they hit is right at guys. A little bit of luck involved.
1-2. Slider popped up, back behind the plate. Kirk takes off his mask, but watches it fall into the seats. In some ways, Morel has taken steps back this year, but two of the things that the Cubs really pointed to, talking well about him when they dealt him away, his strikeouts are down significantly and his walks are up. And they said they tend to feel if you do that and you hit the ball hard, you're probably going to get good results. Just hasn't come average-wise for him this year. 1-2. Check swing on an elevated heater, 96 from Rodriguez. Ball 2.
Rodriguez is feeling good today. Just has to harness that command just a little bit.
Last started 6 days ago against St. Louis, threw 62 pitches and 4 1/3, gave up 1 run. His 2-2. Slider line to left field. That's down for a base hit. One hops into the glove of Nathan Lucas. Aranda up to second. Morel at first, and now the Rays are threatening. First and second, no outs in the bottom of the second.
Well, that slider right there had horizontal movement. That makes it a lot easier to hit. Christopher Morel was right on it. He hammered that thing to left field for a single, but if you stay on top of that slider, it has more vertical movement, more depth to it, and it misses more barrels.
Rodriguez tries to refine now with runners on, and Josh Lowe at the plate. Left-handed hitter in his 99th game of the year. The pitch. Curveball, strike 1. Lowe taps the plate, brings the bat up to his left shoulder where it rests until the pitch. Waddling back and forth a little bit in the box. 0-1. Elevated fastball taken for ball 1. Lowe had a big season last year. This year has been cut a little bit by injury. Part of the reason he's batting .243 with 10 homers. 1-1 pitch fouled off. There's the splitter we haven't seen much of yet today. 1-2.
I like that pitch right there. That's a good pitch. A split finger down below the strike zone. There are 5 guys in this Rays lineup that'll be batting from the left side of the plate, so he'll really have to mix in that split finger if he wants to have some success today.
Said earlier John Schneider wanted more fastballs. He did mention also maybe a couple more splitters mixed in for Rodriguez, and maybe not just to lefties too. 1-2. Another splitter hit foul into the netting behind home plate.
Well, I think he got lucky with that one. That one was just a floater right down the middle, and Lowe just missed it. Put a good swing on it.
First and second, nobody out. 1-2. Inside with the fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Aranda's on second. Morel's on first. Rays had a lot of these scenarios early in yesterday's game and did not cash in against Jose Barrios until the 6th on a solo home run. 2-2. High fly ball, right field. Moving back Barger. Backpedaling onto the warning track. He's got room to make the catch. Aranda tags from second and goes to third. Barger throws back into second base. So it's runners on the corners now, 1 out.
Well, I'll tell you what, Josh Lowe just missed that baseball. Might have snuck in on the handle just a little bit, missing the barrel. You could see him talking to the guys in the dugout. Yeah, he just missed that.
That was a slider that was supposed to go to the back foot. And while it did go inside off the plate, it didn't get down at all, so Lowe still had the ability to get under it.
Well, that was another slider that had that horizontal movement, didn't have the depth to it like it should, and like I said before, it's easier to hit when it's just horizontal like that.
So runners on the corners, 1 out, and Jose Siri is up to the plate. First start of the series for the center fielder. The pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 1.
That was a better slider right there. Really good depth to it. Pretty good bite.
And that's where you want to stay with Siri. You want to be out of the zone because he chases a lot. 161 strikeouts this season, and he's not an everyday player. This is his 126th game. Kirk sets up away. The 0-1 is a fastball that misses low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yariel's now at 31 pitches. In his last start, he threw just 62 pitches. So, I mean, he's already halfway to what he should be throwing today.
His 1-1. Swing and a miss. Elevated the heater. Gets the big whiff from Siri. 1-2. Siri's a 193 batter, 16 doubles and 18 home runs this year, 47 RBIs. Right-handed hitter bounces his bat off the plate. It's a two-tone bat with a light handle and a black barrel. Now he waves it above his right shoulder. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Fastball way high, pops off of the glove of Kirk, but doesn't get far enough away for anyone to move. He just kind of popcorned that up into the air and found it right behind him. It was 97 from Rodriguez, but a big miss.
Yeah, he really reached back for something extra on that one. Unfortunately, it was nowhere near the strike zone.
No harm done, though, as the runners remain on first and third, and the double play is still in order. Blue Jays are playing back, trying to turn 2. 2-2 pitch. Slider hit foul, and that was a miss over the plate that Siri did not take advantage of.
This is a good time for a strikeout, though. I know a double play obviously is the best case scenario, but a strikeout here with that guy at third base, that's really what you want.
And Rodriguez, not much of a ground ball pitcher. He does have the sinker, but punch-outs and pop-ups are more his thing. 2-2 pitch is hit foul again. 94 with the fastball, sent into the seats to the right. Right-hander settles back onto the rubber, looks in at Alejandro Kirk. 4 on the pitch clock. He tucks the ball into his glove, and now he'll step off. I think Rodriguez saw where the clock was at and realized that he just didn't have the time to make a pitch.
He's getting savvy out there.
Yeah. You spend enough time around Chris Bassett, you'll learn to manipulate that clock.
Well, he's almost not a rookie, so he better be savvy out there.
2-2. Check swing roller foul to the right, and a bit of a break there for Rodriguez. He missed up and in. Siri barely swung, but just revealed the bat enough to get a piece of it.
Well, for a second there, by the way, Siri was kind of shaking his hands. I thought that fastball hit him in the hands, but I guess it was just the vibration of hitting the bat.
And you know what?
Hit the knob.
Yeah, it hit him on the knob. So it might have made a little contact with that hand after all, but not before it hit the bat. Home plate umpire David Rackley checking with Siri just to make sure he's all right. Rays have made no indication to challenge this, so we'll continue with first and third. No score, bottom of the second, and 1 out. Another 2-2 from Rodriguez. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Gets him to chase the slider down and away. And Siri screaming as he leaves the plate. There are 2 down.
Yeah, Siri clearly not happy about that swing there, but that is a perfect pitch, a slider that with a ton of bite, a ton of downward action, looked like a hittable pitch, and then just dove out of the strike zone for strike 3. A big out there for Yariel Rodriguez.
You had mentioned the pitch count. It's up there now, 37. Alejandro Kirk maybe just giving him a bit of a blow is going to go out to the mound and talk to Yariel Rodriguez.
I mean, you also mentioned that Ryan Yarbrough is waiting in the wings during this game. I mean, he's got 25 pitches left, probably. He threw 62 pitches in his last start. I don't know what John Schneider said before the game, but he's really getting close to that pitch count.
Didn't make any specific notion about the pitch count. Didn't confirm that Yarbrough would go today for sure because the Blue Jays haven't announced a starter for tomorrow either, so it might be based on how this game goes. If they need Yarbrough here, maybe they don't start him tomorrow. Pitch now to Ben Rortvedt. And the catcher takes a fastball for strike 1.
Either way, I love watching Ryan Yarbrough, so I would love if he came into this ball game.
I will say, when asked if Ryan Yarbrough would pitch in one of the next 2 days, John Schneider said yes. So you will get your wish either today or tomorrow.
All right.
0-1. Elevated heater, ball 1. Rortvedt catching today after the rookie Logan Driscoll got the start yesterday. It's the 106th game of the season for Ben Rortvedt, who's had by far his healthiest year, batting .225, 3 home runs. 1-1. Swing and a miss at the elevated fastball, 1-2.
And now you have to expand, either elevate that fastball again or throw something below the strike zone. And if you're Alejandro Kirk back there, you have to be a wall. It's a big run out at third base.
It was a walk and a hit to start this inning. Aranda's on third and Morel's on first, but a flyout and a strikeout since, and Rodriguez with a chance here to strand the runners on the next pitch. Shakes off one signal, shakes off a second, and now he nods. Ball tucked into his glove belt high, brings it up to his chin. And the 1-2. Splitter hit on the ground left side into left field, a base hit. In to score Aranda, up to second Morel. It's an RBI single for Ben Rortvedt and a 1-0 Rays lead.
And the reason why I say that you need to expand there is because Ben Rortvedt, he's in protect mode. He has 2 strikes on him. He knows that he has an RBI at third base there. He's going to hit anything in the strike zone or even outside of that strike zone. And that split finger there was just too good. You have to get that out of the strike zone. And Ben Rortvedt actually does a good job hitting that baseball the other way.
Rortvedt, who's been going through struggles, threw his hands up, almost looked up to the sky like finally. As he settles up at first, at second Morel, 1-0 Rays. The pitch to Taylor Walls. Curveball, ball 1. It's been a long inning for Yariel Rodriguez, facing the 9-hitter now, Taylor Walls, who's a switch hitter, batting from the left side. A look at second, the 1-0. Called strike. It's a 4-seam fastball, but it almost worked as a backdoor cutter there as it started outside and moved over the plate. Rodriguez set, and now his 45th pitch of the day. Hit on the ground and right at the first baseman Horwitz. He picks it up, jogs to first, and ends the inning. Rays score a run on 2 hits. They leave a pair on. They'll take a 1-0 lead to the top of the third. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between pizza and inflation. First to the plate, with over 2 million sold, it's Fixed Rate Pizza, a hot and fresh extra-large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for Fixed Rate Pizza. Lock in yours today.
Pizza.ca. At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Beat the rush. Protect your vehicle with Canada's #1 rust protection today. Find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com. At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we introduced in-game betting. Because when the game starts, the action doesn't stop. With in-game betting, you can wager on game props, player props, totals, and the money line. And remember, in-game, you can track your same-day parlay with the option to cash out. Check out in-game betting and find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Must be 19 years or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connexontario.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Hurts smacks it down the left field line. This one's got a chance. It's good.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
The third inning is brought to you by the local family-owned Crown Rust Control Centers in Etobicoke and Streetsville, Ontario. Protect your vehicle from rust today. Find your local family-owned Crown at crown.com. Canada's #1 rust protection. 1-0 Rays, top of the third, top of the order for the Blue Jays, and the first pitch to George Springer goes low, ball 1. Springer, Lucas Guerrero against Taj Bradley, the 1-0. Called strike.
Whenever you say Streetsville, I always think you're referring to me, but not today.
Not today. Now the 1-1. Swing and a ground ball over the mound, charging in from short walls. Gloves to his left, throws to first. 1 out.
And there's that split finger again. It's a good one. If he can harness that thing along with harness the fastball at 96 to 98 miles an hour, he's going to be a good one for a long time. Just don't try to overthrow. Stay within yourself. If 94, 95 gets you to throw strikes, throw 94, 95.
Nathan Lucas up to the plate now. Battled against Bradley in the first, but popped out to second. The pitch. Strike 1. Well, you mentioned Streetsville. By the way, he's Chris LaRue. I'm Ben Schulman. You a former Streetsville Tiger, and a pretty cool thing today at the Rays game. The Little League World Series champions are at Tropicana Field. 0-1 pitch is hit on a line into right field, a base hit. Lucas stops at first. Just another line drive single for Nathan Lucas.
Well, that Little League team should take notes watching Nathan Lucas, Spencer Horwitz. That's the way you need to be hitting baseballs. Just stays on that slider and hammers it to right field. What a pretty swing.
Little Leaguers are from Lake Mary, Florida, and one of them got to throw out the first pitch at the Rays game today.
I wonder how they chose that.
MVP of the tournament?
Maybe. You'd hope.
First pitch to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is hit on a line to left field, a base hit. It's down in left center. Around second goes Lucas. He stumbles back to second base as the Rays got it back in quick. That was kind of a pitcher's pitch, a breaking ball on the outside edge. Vlad might have broke his bat, but he somehow still hooked it into left.
Well, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., even on those pitcher's pitches, he's just so good at waiting back, keeping the barrel back, and then just flicking the barrel at the baseball and still gets a ton on it. That was a really good line drive, even though he was pretty fooled on that pitch.
So a runner in scoring position for the third straight inning for the Blue Jays. They trail 1-0, 1 out, top of the third. Runners on first and second. The pitch to Spencer Horwitz is hit foul off of his own ankle. He grimaced up toward the roof As he takes a walk now, it's 0-1.
You know what would have been cool for that Little League team? If all of them threw the first pitch.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do that. That takes a lot, but that would have been very cool.
Or maybe you have them, I guess it ruins part of it, but you have them throw first pitches to each other. Then you could get them all involved. But I know you want to throw it to a player.
I want to throw it to Yandy Diaz.
You're not throwing it to Yandy Diaz.
I don't want to throw it to my buddy Dave.
If the whole team's on the field, you're throwing it to the entire Rays bullpen. The 0-1. Horwitz takes downstairs. Spencer Horwitz with a single back in the first. Caught a first pitch fastball lower middle part of the plate and lined it into center. Batting average up to 274. 1-1. Swing and a foul back. Cutter over the middle, but he hit it back into the netting. 1-2. "36 RBIs on the season for Spencer Horwitz, 31 extra base hits in 90 games. The 1-2. Way up and in at 97. Horwitz spins out of the way and takes a couple steps over near the first base dugout.
How about that chin music? That probably didn't feel too good. 97 up around the beard.
Because of it, David Rackley came over and said, I'll give you a little bit of extra time. They haven't started the clock up yet. Horwitz back in the box now, and he'll ask for time before the next pitch. Lucas on second, Guerrero on first, 1 out, 1-0 Rays, top of the third. A look at second from Bradley, and it's 2-2. Swing and a foul back. Horwitz might be itching for that curveball from Bradley if he'll give him a shot. Spencer Horwitz is hitting .583 on breaking balls this month. 2-2. Another fastball, 98. Hit foul again.
Well, if I'm Taj Bradley and I see that swing there, Spencer Horwitz was way behind that fastball at 98. I stay right there. There's no way I'm flipping at a breaking ball, something soft, because you know Spencer will be right on that pitch.
And perhaps that's the approach of Horwitz contributing to that. Maybe, and he hasn't told me this, maybe he's looking for the breaking ball and willing to fight the fastball away. 2-2. Bounce the splitter, ball 3.
But if you are going to throw something soft, that's where you want to throw it. You want to throw it below the strike zone. You don't want to throw it in the strike zone.
Horwitz has shown he can hurt you after only 4 homers in AAA to start his year, 12 in the majors. The 3-2. Foul back again, 98 on the outer third, and Horwitz got his bat to it.
I mean, he's about to see his 9th pitch of the at-bat, and I feel like that's not out of the ordinary. He just does that almost every single time.
Fouled off 3 of the last 4 pitches and 4 of the last 6. 3-2 again. Called strike 3. 97 on the outside corner. Horwitz had dumped the bat like he thought it was ball 4. But that's just a perfect pitch, and Bradley wins the battle.
Yeah, that's a pitcher's pitch. I can almost guarantee that Spencer Horwitz is going to go back to the dugout, check out the iPad, and be like, well, that's a good pitch.
Yeah, it's about as good as it gets. Down and away corner, 97. And the second strikeout of the day for Bradley. Still first and second for the Blue Jays, but now 2 outs in the top of the third. And the pitch to Alejandro Kirk is hit foul, 0-1. Kirk with a fly out to right field, ended the first inning. Came up in a similar spot, had 2 runners on with 2 outs.
What do you think Victor Martinez and Yariel Rodriguez are talking about in the dugout right now?
They've been going on for a while. 0-1. Up and in, 1 ball, 1 strike.
A lot of hitters have a good idea of how to sequence other hitters or how to pitch to guys. You don't have to be a pitcher to know how to pitch to guys.
And Victor Martinez, a heck of a hitter.
Yes.
1-1. Curveball waved at and missed. 1-2. Isn't full-time with the Blue Jays, is in and out as a coach, and the Sportsnet television broadcast has been showing it. He's been glued to Rodriguez basically for the entire top of the third inning. Blue Jays, meanwhile, trying to get one back for Rodriguez. It's 1-0 Rays. 2 outs, top of the third. Lucas on second, Guerrero on first, and Kirk at the plate. The 1-2 pitch. Up and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Four hits and a walk for the Blue Jays in 3 innings. They've made Taj Bradley use 60 pitches, but they haven't hurt him yet. 2-2 offering. Swing and a ground ball right side, right at Lowe, the second baseman. Fields chest high, throws to first, and ends the frame. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left for the Blue Jays. We go to the bottom of the third, and it's 1-0 Rays. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
The NASCAR Cup Series is on Sirius XM. Let's go, man! We're back on the track Saturday,
6:30 p.m. Eastern.
It's the Bass Pro Shops Night Race from Bristol Motor Speedway.
Checker fly, baby.
On Sirius XM NASCAR Radio Channel 90 in the car and on the all-new Sirius XM app.
What's up, baseball fans? Thanks for hanging out with us tonight for this Toronto Blue Jays matchup. Please hit that subscribe button if you're new here. If you have not seen us yet, if this is the first time you're here or maybe the second or third and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, come on, what are you waiting for? Baseball season's almost over. We only have a few more games left. We got to keep this thing going. We got to get to 40K before hockey season starts. We're so close. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get this party started. Let's have some fun in the chat, and we'll see you guys back there. Go Jays, go. Let's finish this one strong.
Game. You love listening to baseball. You love talking about baseball, and so do we. That's why SiriusXM has the only channel on the radio dedicated to baseball 24/7. It's MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89. News, opinions, passionate baseball talk from former players and GMs, plus interviews with players, managers, and executives, original specials, and much, much, much more. All baseball, every day, on your radio. If you can hear me right now, you've got MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89, and on the SiriusXM app.
24/7, 365 coverage of all things NASCAR. All things NASCAR happens exclusively on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90.
And the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome to the Timbermart broadcast booth. When home improvement projects are throwing you a curveball, talk to the folks at Timbermart before you begin your next job. They've got the material and know-how to make sure you have all your bases covered. Timbermart is Canada's building center. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Bottom of the third inning, and the Blue Jays trailing the Rays in Game 2 of this series by the same score that they lost yesterday, 1-0. Top of the order for Tampa Bay, Rodriguez deals to Yandy Diaz. Pitch called low on a splitter that surely got the bottom of the zone, ball 1.
Well, let's see what if whatever Victor Martinez was telling Yariel works.
1-0. Up and in. If you weren't with us in the top half of the inning, Victor Martinez was speaking with Yariel Rodriguez in that top of the third while they were in the dugout pretty much the entire inning. 2-0. Swing and a pop-up foul on a play, 2-1. So you mentioned that hitters can be a good resource.
Absolutely.
Were you going up to Andrew McCutchen, or do you go a level lower than that? 2-1. High 3-1.
Well, I think my biggest question was always, and it wasn't just the big guys, it was anybody that would listen really, is what are you looking for in this situation? That was the question that I always posed to people, and they'll give you your answer, and then you kind of go from there.
The 3-1. High ball 4. It's a leadoff walk by Rodriguez, and that's what started the trouble last inning. The leadoff walk to Aranda came in to score.
Yeah, Yariel shaking his head right now, not really overly thrilled with how that at-bat went, but he's now at 50 pitches.
Through 62 in his last start. Had a very efficient first inning, but the second inning was a long one. And maybe he deploys the sinker here as he tries to perhaps cut down this inning with a ground ball. His pitch. Fastball hit in the air, right field. Barger going back, has some room. He's on the warning track, and he makes the catch. Tagging from first, Diaz to second, and Barger's throw is just late. That's a gamble by Diaz. I'm not sure he knew who he was running on in Addison Barger, but credit to him, he gets there in time. So now a runner on second with one out.
Well, I was looking forward to that. As that ball was at its peak, I could see that Yandy Diaz was going back to first base and was trying to tag. And it was pretty close at second base. Addison Barger with the great throw, showing off that arm. Pretty good line drive throw, and just a little bit to the shortstop side of second base.
But he did a good job of harnessing the velocity rather than throwing it high. He two-hopped that throw, but because it was such a liner, it got there quickly. Blue Jays are appealing to first, by the way. They thought that Diaz might have left early, so Rodriguez stepped off. He stepped on, then stepped off through to first. But first base Nate Tomlinson makes the safe signal, so Diaz is all right to stay at second. One out, runner on second. 1-0 Rays, bottom of the third. Junior Caminero is up. Rodriguez's pitch. Up and in, ball one.
We just got a slow motion replay of Yandy Diaz tagging at first base. I think he might have left just a tad bit early.
A thought on that in a sec. First, Rodriguez in the set. And the 1-0. Swing and a ground ball to short. Diaz can't go anywhere as Jimenez picks it up, throws over to first. 2 down. It doesn't make sense to me why that would not be a play that you can go to a video review on. Because it's not a play with any nuance, really. You could sync up 2 pieces of video, and like fair or foul or safe or out, you could tell if a guy left early or not definitively in my mind. So I wonder if they even think about introducing that into video replay soon.
I personally think you should be able to review whatever you want to review. You have a limited.
First pitch to Jonathan Aranda, hit in the air, deep center field. Lo Perfido racing back at the track, leaps, and it's gone. Aranda reached up to get a fastball above the zone and got enough of it to send it out to dead center field. His second home run in as many days, and the Rays take a 3-0 lead.
Yeah, Jonathan Aranda did a great job going up and getting that 95-mile-an-hour fastball from Yariel Rodriguez well above the strike zone, and he got enough of it to get it just out of here, out of the outstretched glove of Joey Lo Perfido in center field.
Lo Perfido went up there trying to make the play, but I'm not sure that it was a play that was possible to be made. So the Rays extend their lead, and now Christopher Morel is up with 2 outs and the bases empty. The pitch. Swing and a miss at the curve, strike one. But so you want to review everything possible?
Well, not balls and strikes.
Oh, one pitch. Chopped slowly to shortstop, charging in Jimenez. Gloves throws to first in time. And that'll end the bottom of the third inning. 2-run homer by Jonathan Aranda extends the Rays lead. Now 3-0 Tampa Bay as we go to the fourth. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
One team captured the heart of a Midwest city in the 1980s.
We became a tough-minded defensive team, and then the adoption of the bad boy name that we took on.
They took over the league with their rough style of play.
Lambeer just fired at Jordan.
And will always be remembered as one of the greatest teams in the history of the NBA.
And the Pistons have won the World Championship.
Don't miss our tribute to the Bad Boys, a 4-episode series. Hear it whenever you want on the all-new Sirius XM app. Just search Bad Boys.
A new year in the NBA is right around the corner, and NBA Radio has you cover.
Tatum muscles it up and in, scoring a foul.
Our experts are breaking down the entire league.
That's going to be a fun team to watch.
And bringing you inside the locker room.
It is a must-win game.
Basketball season is just weeks away, and your 24/7 home for hoops is SiriusXM NBA Radio, Channel 86, and the all-new SiriusXM app. Every night after the final out, the Round Trip Roundup brings you the scores, highlights, and analysis from every game across Major League Baseball, all in less than 30 minutes.
Swung on and missed, strike 3 and a no-hitter.
It's the perfect way to get caught up on all the night's biggest home runs and best performances.
In a high drive, deep right center.
It's the Round Trip Roundup on MLB Network Radio every night on SiriusXM Channel 89 and every morning on the SiriusXM app.
Hey everyone, it's Justin Turbin at your 24/7 home for hoops all year long is SiriusXM NBA Radio Channel 86 and the SiriusXM app. Just search NBA Radio.
Radio Network.
It's the fourth inning presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app for today's baseball odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 19 plus, play responsibly. Ontario only. 3-0 Rays. Addison Barger leading off against Taj Bradley, and the pitch. Way high, ball 1. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Show Ali, our host today, Nick Blackmore, our producer, and Tom Young, our technical director. 1-0. Called strike. It'll be Barger, Schneider, Jimenez for the Blue Jays as they try to cash in the fourth. They've left 5 base runners on over the last 3 innings. 1-1. Swing and a miss. 1-2.
Little challenge fastball there from Taj Bradley, 96 right down the middle. Addison Barger is pretty far behind that pitch.
Yeah, I don't know if he was looking for the splitter, perhaps, being a left-handed hitter. 1-2. Heater outside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. After Barger hits, we'll go to the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. A lot of games in action now and plenty to come. 2-2. Called low. That's a perfect pitch at the knees. If I'm Taj Bradley, I might be a little upset, but it's 3-2.
I think pretty sure the battery is upset with that call there. Ben Rortvedt took a second to throw the ball back to Bradley.
Barger walked last time. Here's the 3-2. Swing and a liner caught at third by Caminero. The out-of-town scoreboard is brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. Devilishly good since Toronto first raised the trophy in '92. Join them for wings, ribs, beer, cocktails, and catch every play at your local St. Louis Bar and Grill. Download the app or visit stlouiswings.com for more details. Always devilishly good. It's kind of another clinch day, Chris LaRue. Not for playoffs, but for divisions now. Some teams can clinch. Pitch to Davis Schneider. Outside, ball 1. 3-0 Rays. 1 out, bases empty, top of the 4th. And an impactful matchup going on in Flushing with the Mets hosting the Phillies. We'll get to that in a sec. But first, the 1-0. Curveball bounced in 2-0. For the Phillies, if they win, they can clinch their first division title since 2011. Philadelphia, the 2-0, hit foul 2-1. Philadelphia has made the World Series in 22 and then the NLCS in 2023, but they haven't won the division since Roy Halladay was the ace of the staff.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah. A lot of Braves.
A lot of Braves.
2-1 pitch, swing and a miss, 2-2. With a little bit of Nationals sprinkled in there.
Yeah. I think people forget about the Nationals.
Yeah. It's a mid-2010s Mets. They had a couple of good teams. Right now, that game, though, on the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard, 2-2. Phillies and Mets, top of the 5th. 2-2 pitch to Schneider. Outside, ball 3. And I mentioned the Braves. Kind of a fun story right now with the Mets. Luis Angel Acuna is up, and he hit his 3rd home run in limited action so far for the Mets today. 3-2 pitch. Schneider lifts it to right field. Low moving toward the right center field gap, makes the catch, 2 down. Acuna's homer in the Mets game made it a 2-1 score in favor of New York, but then Nick Castellanos responded with a solo homer of his own, and it's 2-2.
Pretty cool story. Acuna only 22 years old.
Picked up last year by the Mets when they traded Max Scherzer away to Texas. 2 outs, bases empty. 3-0 Rays, top of the 4th. And the pitch to Leo Jimenez, called strike. The other clinch scenario on the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard is Cleveland today could clinch the AL Central. 0-1. Fouled back 0-2. If Cleveland wins in St. Louis or the Royals lose against the San Francisco Giants, the Guardians will lock down their 5th division title in the last 9 seasons. 0-2 pitch, just low. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Bradley on 75 pitches. This is the first inning so far without a base runner. 2 outs, the 1-2. Swing and a ground ball hit to the shortstop Walls. Shuffling to his left, he throws to first. It's a little high, but it's corralled by Aranda to end the inning. A 1-2-3 for Bradley, and we go to the bottom of the 4th. 3-0 Rays at Tropicana Field. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
It's time to celebrate you with the Party at the Ballpark. On Friday, September 27th, dial up your fall wardrobe with the Blue Jays Panel Giveaway presented by TD.
They go back-to-back in the bottom of the 9th. How much fun was that? It is loud here at Rogers Center, and 40,000 are chanting his name.
Get ready for good vibes and a chance to win great prizes.
What a weekend for the Blue Jays.
Fan Appreciation Weekend, presented by TD, September 27th, 28th, and 29th. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between Pizza and inflation. First to the plate, Pizza's big hitter, fixed rate pizza. An extra large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. I dare say, folks, inflation stands no chance against this all-star. Here.
What's up, baseball fans? Thanks for hanging out with us today for this Toronto Blue Jays matchup. There's only a few games left in the season. We really appreciate you all being here. Every single game, hanging out with us, chatting it up with all of our fellow Toronto sports fans. Thank you for being here today. Please make sure you've hit that like button down below. It really helps the channel grow. It helps bring more baseball fans into the chat and sports fans into the chat so that we can keep this thing going all season long. Hockey season is next. Football season going on as well. We'll see you guys back in the chat. Go Jays, go.
Hey, this is Kevin Gosman. You're listening to Toronto Blue Jays Baseball on the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Bottom of the 4th inning in St. Petersburg, Florida, and the Blue Jays are trailing the Rays 3-0. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Yariel Rodriguez back on the mound for Toronto to face Josh Lowe. Righty winds and delivers. Curveball poured over, strike 1. Rodriguez back out on 56 pitches. That last one is 57. 0-1. Outside, 1-1.
Well, he threw 62 on September 15th in his last start, and then he threw 73 in the previous start against Atlanta, so he might get up to 75 today.
Hasn't exceeded 75 this month. 1-1. Curveball rolled foul, 1-2. Shrug of the shoulders from the righty and his right on left pitch. Bounce the curve in front of the plate. Three 0 Rays. Bottom of the 4th. Blue Jays had lost 8 straight Rodriguez starts until his last outing against St. Louis. 2-2. Curveball hit foul, or make that the slider. Either way, it's still 2 balls, 2 strikes.
So you're saying he and Jose Barrios were almost the exact opposite?
Pretty much. Blue Jays haven't helped out either so far. Got shut out in Barrios' start. No runs today for Rodriguez, and the 2-2 is hit foul once more. A floating splitter sent into the seats off to the left. Shakes off one signal. Now Yariel has what he wants. And the 2-2. Curveball once again hit foul. A lot of curves here to Josh Lowe. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes.
He's actually thrown some pretty good curveballs today. A lot of depth. I like the curveball today better than I like the slider.
His 8th pitch to Josh Lowe. Fastball up and away, ball 3.
Still got some juice, though. 96 miles an hour with that fastball. Reach back for a little extra.
Did a bit of a hesitation before it, but just didn't get it close enough to the zone to entice Lowe. 3-2. Outside ball 4, and for the 3rd straight inning, Rodriguez walks the leadoff hitter.
Yeah, and as we've seen so often over the course of this season, when you walk the leadoff hitter, generally speaking, they come around to score.
They have in each of the last 2 innings. Aranda walked in the 2nd and scored, and then in the 3rd, Diaz walked, and Aranda hit a 2-run homer, which has the Rays in front 3-0 with a runner on first and no outs. Bottom of the 4th. Jose Siri is up, and a throw over to first, dive back from Lowe. Had to get a little bit dirty to make sure he was safe. Tag was applied by Horwitz, but late.
I actually asked Blue Jays assistant hitting coach Matt Haig if that little hesitation messes with hitters at all, because Matt Haig played in Japan, and in Japan a lot of the pitchers do that hesitation. And he looked at me and he said, absolutely not.
First pitch to Siri misses outside, ball 1.
And that was kind of the end of the conversation. So there you go. You have that. It does absolutely nothing.
It's funny, earlier this year, Blue Jays are going to go play the Yankees, and Bo Bichette has hit really well off Nestor Cortez. And I said, there's a lot of moving parts with Nestor. And he pretty much the same thing. He said, I just don't really care.
Yeah.
1-0 pitch, outside 2-0.
So I guess you have to wonder why guys do that then. Maybe it's just it's a comfort thing for them, for the Japanese pitchers, for Rodriguez, who of course played in Japan.
Maybe they don't believe the hitters.
Perhaps.
2-0. Swing and a miss. Ugly wave there from Siri when he was way ahead in the count. It's now 2-1. Jose Siri comes into this one pretty hot. 6 for 14, 2 doubles, a triple, and a grand slam in his last 5 games. 2-1 pitch, swing and a miss, 2-2.
And he's looking for another homer. That was a big swing from Jose Siri right there on a pretty good cut fastball. I don't know if he means to do that, but if he does, I would throw it more often. It's pretty good.
John Schneider called it natural cut today, that it just happens. 2-2 is a slider hit foul. Kind of a funny story, though, with the last Siri home run. That grand slam, he comes into their game against Boston. Junior Caminero sees him, and the 20-year-old, talking to a somewhat of a veteran, says, I really like how you look today. I like your vibe. I think you're going to hit a homer today. And he went out and he hit a grand slam that won them the game. 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Elevates the slider and gets the whiff there from Siri for the first out.
Well, Jose Siri is staring out at Yariel Rodriguez, glaring at him. That was a little backup slider. Not much to it. Almost like a BP fastball. And Jose Siri, again, expecting that pitch to break more than it did, swings right through it.
Good recovery from Rodriguez, who's over 70 pitches now in the bottom of the 4th. 3-0 Rays, runner on first. And the pitch to Ben Rortvedt misses high, ball 1. Rortvedt got him for the RBI single in the 2nd inning that opened the scoring. It was his 31st run batted in of the year. 1-0. Swing and a miss.
He is really living at the top of that strike zone right now. Most of his pitches are right at the top of that strike zone or even a little bit above it.
Rodriguez has the ball by his right hip, looking in at the batter, Rortvedt. Now he's set. From the stretch, the right on left pitch. Misses high, 2 balls and 1 strike. Rodriguez has now thrown his most pitches this month in a game with 74. Tommy Nance is loosening up for the Blue Jays. 2-1. Backdoor slider for a strike, 2-2.
Yeah, I would imagine that if this isn't his last hitter, then the next batter is for sure.
Rortvedt's the 8 hitter, so maybe it's Walls, the 9 hitter.
Right.
Two. Swing and a grounder, foul.
I would imagine if you're John Schneider, you don't want Yariel facing Yandy Diaz again.
And you certainly don't want 3-0 to turn into anything more than that. Right. Blue Jays still within reach right now. But Rays pitching, they've thrown 23 straight scoreless innings. 2-2. Popped up. Left side of the diamond, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the third baseman, makes the catch. Turns to throw over to first, but Lowe is already back to the bag. 2 outs.
He hasn't done anything today yet, has he, over there?
No, he hasn't had a lot of action over at third base. Although there aren't a ton of ground balls when Yariel Rodriguez is on the mound.
That's true.
John Schneider did talk a little bit about Vlad playing third base and maybe the future of that. First here's Taylor Walls, the switch hitter, batting left. 2 outs, runner on first. 3-0 Rays in the pitch. High ball 1. The one thing he was asked was, if Vlad goes to full-time third base for next year, how far in advance do they need to know? And John Schneider said months, probably December, just to have him ready to be fielding at that position and working from there. 1-0 pitch, curveball for a strike, and the runner takes off from first, no throw. Josh Lowe into second base with a stolen base. It's now 1-1.
Well, Josh Lowe got a huge jump. Alejandro Kirk didn't even come out of his crouch, just caught that baseball and threw it back to Yariel. Josh Lowe took about 2 or 3 steps even before Yariel got into his windup.
No one even covered the bag. 2 down, the 1-1. Way up and in with the heater, 2-1. Rodriguez now at 80 pitches. Last through 80 on the 21st of August. A look at second in the 2-1. Swing and a fly ball. Shallow in foul territory right side. The first baseman runs it down, Spencer Horwitz, and makes the catch to end the inning. Leadoff walk is stranded, and after 4 innings, 3-0 Rays over Blue Jays. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center. Streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Hello, I'm James Corden, and I'm so thrilled for you to hear my show, This Life of Mine. Join me every week for incredible conversations and never-before-heard stories from the biggest stars in film, TV, fashion, music, sports, and more. Each week, we'll be talking about the people, the places, the possessions, music, and memories that have made them who they are today. This Life of Mine with me, James Corden. You can listen on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern and Pacific on Stars, Channel 109, or on the SiriusXM app.
SiriusXM has everything a college football fan needs.
He's in trouble and down he goes. The ball comes out.
All the big games are on the SiriusXM app.
Down the sidelines, midfield. It's a race. Picking them up, putting them down.
Plus, hear daily in-depth analysis on College Sports Radio, Channel 84.
There's not a lot of holes or weaknesses on that football team, and they've got the goods where you want to have the goods for a championship caliber roster.
Our experts get you ready for game day every day on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app.
You love listening to baseball. You love talking about baseball. You love yelling at your buddies about baseball because they love baseball, and so do we. That's why SiriusXM has the only channel on the radio dedicated to baseball 24/7. It's MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89. News, opinions, passionate baseball talk from former players and GMs, plus interviews with players, managers, and executives, and much, much, much more. If you can hear me right now, you've got MLB Network Radio, SiriusXM Channel 89, and on the SiriusXM app.
The Blue Jays are in flight, leading 3-0.
Blue Jays fans, this is Ross Atkins, and you're listening to Blue Jays Baseball on Sirius XM.
And the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome to the Timbermark broadcast booth. Ben Schulman and Chris LaRue. 3-0 Rays, top of the fifth. Joey Loperfido up to the plate, and he takes inside. Ball one from Taj Bradley. Bradley's retired 5 in a row, settling in after a lot of traffic in the first 3 innings. And his 1-0 is waved at and missed, 1-1. He is approaching 80 pitches here in the fifth, but the 1-2-3-4 really helped him out. 1-1. Just outside with a splitter, 2 balls and 1 strike. Two-1. High and outside, 3 balls and 1 strike. After Joey Loperfido, George Springer, and the top of the order is up. Next offering. Swing and a miss. Top of the zone at 96. Full count.
He's still got that good fastball, even though he's at 81 pitches. That's for sure.
The stuff is there, and when he has been consistent with the location, it's been pretty much unhittable. Three-2. Swing and a ground ball, backhanded at first by Aranda, throws back to Bradley. Nice play over at first, and they get the out.
Yeah, pretty nice play from Aranda, and then he made that play, had to hit Bradley on the run like a quarterback. Good play all around.
With the top of the order coming back up, let's go quickly to the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard. Minnesota holding on to the final wildcard spot by a game entering today over the Detroit Tigers. But the Tigers are winning in Baltimore right now, 2-1. First pitch to Springer, fouled back, 0-1. Detroit's lead on the back of a 2-run triple from Dylan Dingler. Again, 2-1 in the sixth, 0-1. Swing and a miss at a cutter, and Springer quickly in an 0-2 hole. Minnesota on the St. Louis Bar and Grill out-of-town scoreboard wants to start, but they're in a rain delay in Boston. 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 3-pitch strikeout, and Springer with kind of a golf swing as he turned away in frustration. 2 down.
Well, that was a pretty good cutter from Taj Bradley. Maybe his best one of the day. A little bit of a slider action, not the true cutter action that you see from him. This stuff is just so good.
And he hasn't had to strike out many guys. That's only his 3rd strikeout. He's forced a lot of weak contact. His pitch to Nathan Lucas. Fastball for a strike. Potentially Bradley on the other side of those struggles that he was having in August. His 0-1. Bounced. I liked he was quoted on August 31st as saying the month of August has been kicking my rear end for sure, and I'm just taking it like Rocky, wearing it, and hopefully I'll come out of it. 1-1. Fouled back, 1-2.
Well, you got to love the confidence, that's for sure. It's also tough for young guys to go through a full big league season.
Right.
It's almost impossible because there's just so much travel, so much.
1-2 pitch outside, 2-2.
So many long days, more starts, more at bats. It's just a grind.
Physically and mentally, right?
Right.
2 outs in the 2-2. Spoiled by Lucas. He hit the fastball back into the screen behind home plate.
It's just so much different than even a AAA season. You're taking a bus from Syracuse to Buffalo.
Right.
And that's about the extent of your travel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, flying from Tampa to LA.
2-2 bounced, and it hit the home plate ump in the mask, David Rackley, who stumbles back, but he's all right, 3-2.
There's just so much more of a grind, and you have to appreciate a young guy that can get through the adversity and then kind of fight through and then have starts like this later on in September. It's pretty impressive.
Over 90 pitches now is Taj Bradley. This could be his last inning. The batter on deck is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And now they're going to go check on the home plate on Brackley. Just with that ball going off his mask, want to make sure there's no head injury. You mentioned, though, with the minors, too, now the minors are on a uniform schedule. You go to one city, and you go there for 6 days in a row. You always have an off day on Monday, and then you're either home for 6 days again, or you go to another city for 6 days. There's a lot less moving parts. You're never playing 13 and 13. 3-2. And Lucas hits it foul down the left field line out of play to stay alive.
I think the Blue Jays played recently 18 and 17.
Yeah,
I mean, that's absurd.
It was. I mean, there was a rain postponement that factored in, but you just don't get those stretches in the minors. 3-2. Inside ball 4. Lucas twists out of the way of 98, flips his bat away, and walks down to first.
Another 8-pitch at bat from Nathan Lucas. What else is new?
And on for the second time. And now at 2 for 2, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. steps up to the plate. He's batting .324 now on the season on the St. Louis Bar and Grill out of town scoreboard. Bobby Witt is 1 for 1 today, so he's batting .335. And Kyle Snyder is going to come out to the mound and talk to Bradley before he faces Guerrero. This is a big spot to give a young guy. I think we all know that the Rays are not hesitant to tug on that leash and go to their bullpen early. But they're going to let Bradley here face Guerrero for a third time, up 3-0 with a runner on, and Bradley on 93 pitches.
Well, I think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has looked relatively comfortable against Taj Bradley. He's made some good pitches, and Vlad has been so good at keeping that bat back and kind of just flicking it for his couple of hits. But Taj Bradley still has good stuff right now. He's thrown 93 pitches, and that last fastball to Nathan Lucas was 98 miles an hour.
They do have Manuel Rodriguez up in the pen right now, but he's not going to face Vlad. That's all Bradley. Mound meeting over. Guerrero taps the plate twice and looks out toward the righty starter. Lucas on first, 2 outs, 3-0 Rays, top of the 5th. The pitch. Cutter, called low, might have just grabbed the zone at the knees, but it's called a ball, 1-0.
Well, when you're Vlad, that's not a strike.
Guerrero is the Blue Jay leader in walks with 69 on the year. 1-0. Fastball at the knees, strike 1.
Ooh, boy. I don't know what you're waiting for, but that's probably it right there.
Yeah, bottom middle of the zone. I mean, it was 98, but it's not great location. From the stretch, the 1-1. Swing and a foul back, 1-2.
Power versus power, 97, 98. A big swing right there from Vlad.
Crowd getting louder, so Bradley will cup his left ear with his glove to make sure he hears the pitch comm. Now he's set. Right-hander rocks and deals. Swing and a liner, right field, down for a base hit. Nathan Lucas turns around second, chugging for third, slides in. 3 for 3 day for Guerrero, and the Blue Jays have first and third with 2 outs.
Well, with 2 outs, Nathan Lucas was off on contact, and he was able to get all the way from first base to third base. But again, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just fights off a pretty tough pitch and hits it the other way. He's just doing that so often. 3 times today already.
Vlad now has hits to left, center, and right field in this game. That cutter was moving away from him, so he just sent it the way it was going. And a big spot here for Horwitz. He represents the tying run in the 5th. The pitch. Fouled off 0-1. In all likelihood, Taj Bradley's going to go over 100 pitches today. Next one will be his 99th. Swing and a soft bouncer up the third baseline. Bradley fields, there's no play. A swinging bunt for Horwitz is an RBI single as Lucas is in to score. Guerrero up to second, and the Blue Jays score for the first time in this series. Snap that Rays scoreless streak. It's 3-1.
Well, that was a perfectly placed split finger. One of his best splits of the day, and the only thing that Spencer Horwitz could do with that pitch is exactly what he did. A little dribbler down the third base line. Taj Bradley picks it up and can't do anything with it, just puts it in his back pocket, and the Blue Jays score their first run.
If that was a bunt, it would be one of the best bunts of the season. Here's Alejandro Kirk now, and the first pitch is hit foul, 0-1. Third time up for Kirk. All 3 times he's come up with 2 outs and runners on first and second. Doesn't have a hit yet today, trying to extend his career best 13-game hit streak. The 0-1. Swing and a high pop-up foul, 0-2.
Well, if Kirk can put something in a gap right here, this game's about to be tied.
Runners will be off on contact. Guerrero from second, Horwitz from first. Kirk adjusts his batting gloves, looks out to Taj Bradley, the righty starter. Bradley is set. His 102nd pitch of the day is on the way. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Bounce the curveball. Kirk jogging down to first, and the throw down there from Rortvedt inside fair territory to get him and end the inning. Blue Jays on the board. They get a run on 2 hits, 2 left, and it's 3-1 Rays, middle of the 5th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Sam Darnold, man, he's off to a good start. I'm happy for Minnesota.
When it happens in the NFL, we're reacting to it on Sirius XM NFL Radio.
The thing that you love about Josh Allen, and you can never measure, is a person's heart and his passion and his will to win.
Talking about the biggest stories all day.
I can tell you right now, Saints are for real.
From the field to the front office, nobody covers the game like Sirius XM NFL Radio. Channel 88.
If you want to win your fantasy football league, you need to listen to Fantasy Sports Radio. From lineup decisions to daily fantasy to waiver wire advice, injury updates, and so much more.
You cannot afford to drop a running back.
Our experts will help you dominate.
I think there's value there on Austin Eckler in PPR formats.
Set your lineup with Fantasy Sports Radio. Your home for fantasy football all season long. Channel 87 and on the all-new Sirius XM app. The most important person in sports is you, the fan.
Let me tell you something. I'm a real fan.
And your place for sports talk is Mad Dog Sports Radio, where your voice is heard all day long.
I couldn't wait to get into the truck, turn on 82.
Share the thrill of victory.
The joy, the jubilation. I can't stop smiling.
And the agony of defeat.
When is this franchise going to realize people really care about this?
Passionate sports fans call 888-MAD-DOG-6.
You gotta love sports.
Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82, or anytime on the Sirius XM app.
Hey everyone, it's Justin Turbin, your 24/7 home for hoops all year long is Sirius XM NBA Radio Channel 86 and the Sirius XM app. Just search NBA Radio.
The Sportsnet Radio Network.
Bottom of the 5th in sunny St. Petersburg, Florida. Blue Jays trailing the Rays 3-1, and the start of Yariel Rodriguez is over. After 4 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts, Tommy Nance enters for the Blue Jays. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Nance starts with the top of the order. It's Yandy Diaz up. The pitch. Sliders, strike 1. And I think when you look back at the Rodriguez start today, you can't ignore 3 leadoff walks in 4 innings being a problem in the start. 0-1. Slider outside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, over his previous 3 starts, he's been dialed in with that fastball. He's been throwing it for strikes. He's been throwing it in that strike zone, and today was just a little bit off. Although the velo was pretty good today.
1-1 pitch is a fastball inside, 2-1.
We saw that fastball all the way up to 97 miles an hour. I can't remember the last time he's thrown a 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
Rodriguez, though, takes a seat now, and Nance is in. Bearded righty, rocks and deals. Called strike with the slider, 2-2. 18th appearance for Tommy Nance. Over nearly 19 innings of work, he has a 3.86 ERA. His 2-2. Bounced fair right side to first. Picked up by Horwitz. He'll flip back to Nance. And the first batter he faces is the first out of the fifth.
Good slider right there from Tommy Nance. Not his best off-speed pitch, but good enough to get Yandy Diaz to kind of stick the bat out and hit a little dribbler to Spencer Horwitz out at first base.
Nance has the fairly unique mix of fastball, curveball, slider. Curveball being the main pitch that stood out to the Blue Jays when they picked him up. His pitch to Brandon Lau. Curve high, ball one.
Yeah, not many relievers have that 12-6 curveball anymore. It used to be a pretty popular pitch, but most guys are split, slider, cutter now is a big pitch.
1-0. Curveball hit on the ground to second, picked up by Schneider, throw to first, 2 down.
This injury report is brought to you by Bergmanis Pereira Personal Injury Lawyers. If life has thrown you a curveball and you're striking out with your insurance company, get ahead of the count. Call Bergmanis Pereira Personal Injury Lawyers. You focus on getting better, and Bergmanis Pereira will take care of the rest. Visit bplawyers.ca.
Nothing really to update on the Blue Jays side, but it was announced that Shane McClanahan on the Rays side is going to face live hitters for the first time next week. Pitch to Junior Caminero. Outside ball one. Rays ace has not thrown in a while, but on Thursday, he's going to face batters. He's not going to pitch this season, but just to start to get ready for the offseason and next year. 1-0. Called strike.
That's surprising. It took you 3 innings to get through all the injury reports yesterday for the Jays.
They really covered their bases yesterday. One. Check swing on a slider away, appeal down to first, and it is a swing. Caminero, you see batters do this sometimes, pointed down to first himself, knowing the appeal was coming, and he got called for a strike. 2 down, bases empty, 3-1 Rays, bottom 5, and the 1-2 pitch from Nance. Breaking ball chopped high to second base. Davis Schneider gloves it chest high and throws to first to end the inning. 1-2-3 from Tommy Nance. Let's go to the 6th. 3-1 Rays at Tropicana Field. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Beat the rush. Protect your vehicle with Canada's #1 rust protection today. Find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
Which Looney Dogger are you? The fork and knifer, splatterer, condiment queen, or Big Dipper? This season at Rogers Center, every Tuesday home game is Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneiders. You will have the opportunity to purchase $1 hot dogs from various concession stands around the stadium. Then show the world your Looney Dog style. Because whether you're the mustard maven or ketchup king, no Blue Jays game is complete without hot dogs. So don't miss out on this deal. Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneiders, every Tuesday home game.
September 25th.
We're going in.
Chicago Wednesday returns on City TV.
Police, get back!
We all face fear.
Crazy upside down world out there.
But only heroes run towards it.
If someone is in trouble, you do whatever you gotta do to help them.
You do what it takes. You're gonna be okay. We got you now.
Chicago Med, Fire and PD. New season's premiere September 25th on City TV. Or stream it on City TV Plus.
Hey, this is Bo Bichette. You're listening to Toronto Blue Jays Baseball on the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome to the Timbermart broadcast booth. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Show Ali, our host, and Jays Talk host today. Nick Blackmore, our producer. Tom Young, our technical director. New pitcher in for the Rays, the lefty Mason Montgomery takes over for Tampa Bay. 5 innings of 1-run ball today for Taj Bradley, the Tampa Bay starter, and now Montgomery starts with Addison Barger left on left. Rookie's first pitch fastball misses high, ball 1. Seventh game of his major league career for Montgomery, a 1.80 ERA. The 1-0 pitch is a breaking ball, low, check swing, appeal down to third. He did go. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lefties 1-1. Fastball at 98, called strike, 1-2.
You don't see that kind of fastball every day from a left-handed reliever, but it's a big spot for Mason Montgomery. Just 5 innings in his big league career so far, so you know that heart rate is pretty elevated right now.
1-2. Slider perfectly placed on the outside corners, called strike 3.
But he does have good stuff. That is some good stuff from the left side right there.
And it's simple from Montgomery. It's fastball, slider, lives in the high 90s with the fastball and the high 80s with the slider. You mentioned, though, the pressure. This is just his second time pitching at home. The only other time he pitched at Tropicana Field was his major league debut on September 5th. His pitch to Davis Schneider, ugly swing and a miss on a fastball, 0-1.
And that is some easy cheese right there. It doesn't look like he's throwing very hard, and all of a sudden you look at the radar gun, it's 97, 98.
0-1. Swing and a miss, 97 elevated, 0-2. Began this season as a AAA starter, got hit hard, moved to the pen, more success there. 0-2 pitch, high, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Sixth rounder by the Rays in 2021 out of Texas Tech, a 3-year starter for the Red Raiders. 1-2 as a slider bounced, 2-2.
Sounds a little bit like the Justin Wilson story, where he was a failed reliever through about, I don't know if he was the velocity was down for Montgomery, but
2-2. Swing and a fly ball center field. Racing back Siri at the warning track, and he'll curl and make the catch just in front of the wall. 2 down.
But when Justin Wilson was starting in AAA, he was getting hit around. He was throwing 91, 92 miles an hour. And then the Pirates moved him to the bullpen, and all of a sudden, overnight, he was throwing 96 to 100 miles an hour. It was absolutely absurd. And obviously, he's had a 14-year big league career now. But this Mason Montgomery story sounds relatively similar to that.
Montgomery's pitch now to Leo Jimenez, 97 at the top of the zone, strike 1. 3-1 race, 2 outs, bases empty, top of the 6th. Not too different of a story for Jordan Romano, who was a starter in the minors for almost his whole pro career. 0-1 pitch called strike, 0-2. For Romano, he only transitioned to the bullpen in 2019, the year that he made it up to the major leagues. 0-2. Slider down and in. Jimenez lays off.
And was he throwing hard as a starter?
I believe he was throwing hard, but not as hard.
Yeah.
Not easy 97s, 98s. 1-2. Fouled back into the backstop. Montgomery trying to get through this top of the 6th. He's thrown 13 pitches so far. Is 1-2. Elevated at 98. Jimenez started to swing, but pulls it back. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Good take for Leo right there. That's a tough pitch. 98. Looked like a hittable pitch, and then kind of had that rising action to it just at the tail end.
Now the 2-2. Swing and a line drive past the dive of the shortstop walls into left field. A base hit. Got a slider over the middle of the plate down in the zone. And Leo Jimenez is aboard for the first time today.
That's an impressive AB from Leo Jimenez. Took a tough fastball above the strike zone and then sat right back on that slider and hammered it through the hole on the left side.
Jimenez probably happy to be aboard without having to take a bruise to earn it after being hit by 16 pitches this year. He's on first. Joey Loperfido is up in a tough left-on-left matchup. Montgomery's offering to the plate. 96 just outside, ball 1. It's only 5 2/3 innings now at the major league level, but no hits allowed to lefties so far for Montgomery.
And you can see why.
1-0. Slider just misses outside again, 2-0. Blue Jays did score the most recent run in this game, trailing 3-1. 2-0 pitch. Line to left field, down the line. It's going to get down in fair territory and bounce into the corner. Jimenez turns around second, gets to third. Loperfido up to second with a double, and the Blue Jays have second and third with 2 outs.
Well, with 2 outs, Leo was going on contact. He was able to get all the way from first base to third base. It's a big run out there. Getting later in this ball game, Blue Jays down by 2 runs, but Joey Loperfido, what a swing, just takes that good fastball and hammers it down the left field line. When you're facing a good left-handed hitter a left-handed pitcher as a left-handed hitter, what you have to do, you just hit the ball where it's pitched.
And that'll spell the end of the day for Mason Montgomery, who got 2 quick outs, but then gave up 2 hits. Second and third for the Blue Jays. Top of the order coming up in a 3-1 game. Let's go back to baseball control. Here's Show Ali.
Thank you very much, guys. And before we check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill, a quick reminder that we do have Jays talk after this game. I will have the post-game show solo today. I'll take your phone calls, and I'll also take your texts. 590-590, name and location. That's the People's text line. Standard data messaging rates do apply. All right, let's check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. And the NHL training camps well underway. Preseason action actually going to get started today. The Blues take on the Stars at 7 p.m. Eastern. Penguins take on the Sabres at 7 p.m. Eastern as well. So in just about an hour, our first preseason action of the calendar. Wild will take on the Jets an hour after that, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking forward to the Toronto Maple Leafs, that begins in earnest tomorrow. They will take on the Senators at Scotiabank Arena tomorrow night, 7 Eastern. And that game will be on Sportsnet 590 The Fan here in Toronto. Elsewhere in the NHL, some retirement news in the past few days. After winning the Cup with the Panthers this past year, Kyle Okposo is hanging up his skates. The 36-year-old native of St. Paul, Minnesota, had 614 points in 1,051 regular season games with the Panthers, Sabres, and Islanders. So congrats to Okposo on a great career. Lots of finals across the pond in EPL action. Let's take a look at a few results. Chelsea blanking West Ham 3-0. Tottenham beating Brentford 3-1. A 3-0 win for Liverpool over Bournemouth. 1-1 draws for Southampton and Ipswich, as well as Leicester City and Everton. And we'll get Man City and Arsenal going head-to-head tomorrow morning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Blue Jays baseball brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Back to the action. Here's Ben and Chris.
Thank you, Joe. George Springer up against Manuel Rodriguez. The first pitch down and away with a breaking ball, 1-0. Rodriguez entering in a pivotal point in this game. 3-1 Rays, 2 outs, top of the 6th. And the tying runs in scoring position. Loperfido on second, Jimenez on third. 1-0 to Springer. Swing and a ground ball, third baseline. Backhanded by Caminero. Sidearm throw to first. Gets him and ends the inning. 2 hits for the Blue Jays, but no runs in 2 left. We go to the middle of the 6th. It's 3-1 Tampa Bay. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
WWE SmackDown is on Sirius XM. Hear it Friday nights at 8 Eastern on NBC Sports Audio Channel 85. Don't miss the superstars in action, like the original Tribal Chief Roman Reigns.
Acknowledge me.
And WWE Undisputed Champion Cody Rhodes.
So, what do you guys want to talk about?
Then Saturday morning at 9 Eastern, discuss it all with Busted Open's Denise Salcedo and WWE Hall of Famer Mark Henry on Sirius XM Fight Nation, Channel 156, and the all-new Sirius XM app.
This is Bob Kendrick, president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum and host of the award-winning podcast, Black Diamonds. This week, Hall of Famer Andre Dawson joins me to discuss the significant role historically black colleges and universities have played in baseball history.
I would never trade that HBCU experience for anything. I grew a lot faster and knew what it was to be a young adult.
Listen to Black Diamonds right now on the all-new Sirius XM app or wherever you get your podcast.
Wake up, everybody.
This is Steve Phillips from the leadoff spot on MLB Network Radio. Join me and former Major League Baseball players Eduardo Perez and Xavier Scruggs as we react to all the latest news and scores across baseball and have plenty of fun along the way.
Steve, you were so right about that.
I don't know if anybody else thinks we're funny, but I think we're funny.
Why are you putting us or we into this?
The leadoff spot, weekdays at 7 a.m. Eastern on MLB Network Radio, Channel 89, and on the SiriusXM app.
24/7, 365 coverage of all things NASCAR. All things NASCAR happens exclusively on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90.
Sportsnet Radio Network.
Home half of the 6th inning in St. Petersburg, Florida, and Jonathan Aranda leading it off right now for the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Tommy Nance still on the mound for the Blue Jays. The reliever in his 2nd inning bounces in the first pitch, 1-0. I don't know that many circled Jonathan Aranda in the program or whatever you were looking at when you were previewing the Rays going into this series, but he has been the most impactful bat so far. Homers in each game of this series. 1-0. Curveball for a strike.
Yeah, you're right. I think the home run today, though, was especially impressive. It was a fastball up out of the strike zone. He went up and got it and absolutely hammered it to center field.
One. Down 2-1. There's a statistic called win probability added, which tries to calculate how much each play in a game increases your chance of winning. That Aranda home run yesterday in the 1-0 win was the 2nd most win probability added he's ever had on a single hit. 2-1 is low, 3-1. The only one that was more impactful, his first ever Major League home run on September 13th, 2022, off of Alek Manoah against the Blue Jays, put the Rays up 2-1 in the 7th inning of a game in Toronto. Blue Jays went on to score 6 runs in the next 2 innings. They'd win the game 7-2, but it was a big homer at the time. 3-1. Fastball hit on the ground sharply past the dive of Horwitz at first and into right field. On all 3 times today is Jonathan Aranda. He's got a leadoff single.
Well, it definitely seems like Jonathan Aranda loves hitting against the Toronto Blue Jays. Stayed back on that fastball. I think he broke his bat, actually, but he was able to find the hole out on the right side of that infield.
So after the base hit, Pete Walker's going to go out to the mound right now and talk to Tommy Nance. Christopher Morel about to come up, and let's go over to the St. Louis Bar and Grill out of town scoreboard. Mentioned that the Phillies can clinch a division, their first NL East title since 2011 with a win over the Mets today. That game has gone sideways on them a little bit in the later stages. Mets have turned a 2-2 game into a 5-2 game with a Brandon Nimmo RBI single and then a Francisco Alvarez 2-run double. It's now 5-2 for New York over Philadelphia going to the 8th inning. Elsewhere on the St. Louis Bar and Grill out of town scoreboard, the Orioles have tied it up against the Tigers. 2-2 is the score right now. Detroit and Baltimore in the 7th. Detroit a game back of Minnesota. Minnesota and Boston's game has been postponed due to rain.
It's a good thing about playing at the Trop. There's never a rain out.
Not even a thought. Christopher Morel now stepping up for the Rays with the mound meeting over. Runner on first, nobody out. 3-1 Rays, bottom 6. The pitch from Tommy Nance. Fastball hit back foul, 0-1. Morel singled down the left field line in the 2nd inning, grounded out to short in the 3rd. Blue Jays would love another ground ball. 0-1. Just misses the zone with a fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, now Nance is known more for the curveball. He does throw that sinker that can induce some contact on the ground. Righty's 1-1. Swing and a miss at a slider, 1-2.
Really good slider right there. But you're right. This is a great chance, a great time to throw that good sinker, get that double play, get a quick couple of outs here.
Nance about to throw his 20th pitch. Righty kicks and offers. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Went back to the breaking ball and struck out Morel for the first out of the bottom of the 6th.
I'll take that, too. That was an impressive slider right there. 89 miles an hour. Looked like a strike and then just darted to the left. Here comes John Schneider, though.
Blue Jays will make a pitching change with the left-handed hitter Josh Lowe about to come up. Toronto will take a lefty out of its bullpen as well. So Tommy Nance leaves with the Blue Jays up 3-1. Runner on first, 1 out, bottom of the 6th. Let's go back to baseball control. Here's today's host, Show Ali.
Thank you very much, Ben and Chris. Before we check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. One more reminder that we do have Jays Talk after this game is over. I have the post-game show, a solo edition of Jays Talk for me today. So please send me your phone calls, your texts as well. 590-590, name and location. That's the People's Text line. Standard data and messaging rates do apply, but the People's Text line certainly, again, 590-590 is always open. All right, let's check the out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. Week 3 of NFL football continues tomorrow. Some injury updates from around the league. First, Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins is a go for Monday night against the Commanders. He is not on the injury report after the hamstring kept him out of the first 2 games of the season. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert is dealing with an ankle injury. He is expected to give it a go, but he is questionable for tomorrow. Packers quarterback Jordan Love, meanwhile, who missed last week with a sprained MCL he suffered in the dying seconds of the Week 1 game in Brazil. He was spotted at practice, though he was limited all week long, so a possibility, however small it may be, that Love plays this weekend for Green Bay. Elsewhere, 49ers tight end George Kittle feeling some tightness in the hamstring. He did not practice the last few days. He is now doubtful for tomorrow. And Texans running back Joe Mixon is now officially out for tomorrow's game against the Vikings. Sounds like Cam Akers will get the bulk of the work on the ground for Houston against Minnesota's defense. Blue Jays baseball is brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Let's get you back to the action at the Trop with the call. Here's Ben Schulman and Chris LaRue.
Thank you, Show. John Schneider is going to the lefty Brendan Little here with the Blue Jays down 3-1. Runner on first and 1 out, bottom of the 6th. Little will face a left-handed hitter in Josh Lowe to start this inning. Or this outing, rather. Impressive year for the rookie left-hander. Little making his 46th appearance of the season, and over 42 innings has had an earned run average just over 3.5. First pitch sinker misses down and away to Lowe. Ball 1. Lefty set at the belt, peeks at first, and the pitch. Sinker for a strike.
Brendan Little, of course, has that mid-90s sinker and then that really impressive knuckle curve.
Every once in a while, he'll mix in a cutter as well. 1-1. Sinker again, just missed below the knees. 2-1. As opposed to Rodriguez or Nance, who are looking for a lot of swing and miss, Little often is trying to get you to roll one over on the ground. 2-1. Bounce the curveball, and it gets away from Kirk to the backstop. Up to second base goes Jonathan Aranda. Now that double play no longer in order.
But ironically, he does have strikeout stuff. That knuckle curve is a great strikeout inducer. Pretty good time to get a strikeout here, that's for sure. Although you're behind in the count, 3-1.
Little set, his 3-1 pitch. Down and away, ball 4. Couple big misses in that at bat. He walks low, which essentially erases the wild pitch because Aranda was moving up to second anyway, and now it's first and second, 1 out.
Yeah, that last fastball there, 94 miles an hour, was nowhere near the strike zone. But hey, sets up a double play.
Brings a right-handed hitter up to the plate in Jose Siri, who hasn't put it in play yet today. 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. Little's pitch. Swing and a miss through the cutter upstairs. 0-1.
Hard cutter too, 95 miles an hour.
You can count on your hand how many lefties in the majors throw a cutter in the mid-90s. First and second, 1 out. 3-1 Rays. And the 0-1 to Siri. Inside, and it gets to the backstop again, and both runners will advance. Almost hit Siri. Kirk reached for it but couldn't corral it. I think that'll be another wild pitch, and now it's 2nd and 3rd, 1 out.
And we've seen this now and again from Brendan Little coming into a game and just being a little bit erratic with that fastball, not really having a feel for the strike zone. He's doing it a little bit today. That last fastball really was nowhere near the strike zone.
So now the Blue Jays infield comes in trying to prevent the run. 1-1. Check swing on a high cutter. Appeal down to first. He did go, says Nate Tomlinson, 1-2. 2 wild pitches by Little in the inning have put the Blue Jays in a precarious situation, but a strikeout here would be a big help. The 1-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Snap throw to third, and they got Aranda. Strike him out, throw him out as Alejandro Kirk throws behind Jonathan Aranda after Siri waves and misses, and that's a heck of a way to end the 6th inning. No runs on a hit, no errors, 1 left. 3-1 Rays go into the 7th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Timber Mart is Canada's building center, a solid neighbor to call upon when you've got a job to do. Your dependable home improvement store that offers the added value of Air Miles reward miles with every purchase of $15 or more. Visit timbermart.ca.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Beat the rush. Protect your vehicle with Canada's #1 rust protection today. Find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
We're 2 men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think 2 men and a truck, since you know they have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap, pack, and move everything you own. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're 2 men and a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
Timber Mart always has plans to help you with your plans. Your home, your cottage, your garage, whatever needs your attention first, check the most visited spot on our website for ready-to-order plans to get the job done with Canada's building center. Visit timbermart.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Marceau smashes the ball to right field. It's gone!
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome back to Blue Jays baseball, 7th inning at Tropicana Field, and Toronto is trailing Tampa Bay 3-1. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. If you weren't with us in the 6th inning, a really big defensive play to end the frame. Brendan Little came in, was a little bit wild, and after a walk and 2 wild pitches, there were runners on 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. But Little struck out Jose Siri, and as Siri was swinging and missing, Kirk popped up, caught it, snap throw to third, and got Jonathan Aranda, who was leaking a little bit far off the bag. Guerrero applied the tag, and it was a very nice play from the Blue Jays.
Yeah, we've seen Alejandro Kirk make perfect throws over and over again recently. But that play there is a pretty scary play because as a catcher, you're stepping behind the batter who is in the batter's box, and then you're throwing basically over the shoulder of that runner who's diving back into third base. You could potentially deflect that baseball off of his shoulder, off of his helmet, and that run or 2 would score in that situation. But Alejandro Kirk made the perfect throw right over the shoulder of Jonathan Aranda. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. caught that baseball and applied the tag perfectly. What a play.
Really helps the Blue Jays. Looked like there was going to be a run scored that inning for the Rays. By the way, they actually changed it to the wild pitch on the first one, but a passed ball on the second one that went to the backstop for Little. But Kirk more than makes up for it by throwing out that runner at third. And now a new pitcher in the game for the Rays is the lefty Garrett Clevenger, on to face the heart of the Blue Jay order, down 3-1. This might be the inning the Blue Jays have to do it. Nathan Lucas, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and Spencer Horwitz set to hit. Second appearance in as many days, first appearance of the series for Clevenger, and before the inning, time is called. Rackley runs away from home plate to make it clear there's an object on the field out in center.
Garrett Clevenger about to make his 67th appearance of the season.
One of the most important relievers for Kevin Cash. He'll close games if there are some lefties lining up in the ninth. The pitch. Lucas takes high, ball 1. For Clevenger, a 3.41 ERA in 58 innings. He's punched out 70 in those 58 innings. 1-0. Called strike.
He's got good stuff.
96 with that last fastball for Clevenger. His main fastball is a cutter that lives in the low 90s. Also throws a slider, a sweeper, and a sinker. 1-1. Swing and a foul back, slider thrown there, 1-2.
And he's pretty funky too. That's part of the deception from Clevenger. Really good fastball, really good off-speed stuff, and then just a little bit of funk.
There's a lot of funk in the Rays pen. You are seeing guys from all types of angles. 1-2. Foul tip, strike 3. 96 in on the hands. Gets a swing and a miss from Lucas. And there's 1 out.
And that's just, you don't really see Nathan Lucas have awkward swings like that, but he was way behind that fastball there from Clevenger.
So Vladimir Guerrero Jr. up to the plate now. 3 for 3 on the day. The pitch. Way outside, ball 1. With the 3 hits today, Guerrero is up to 191 on the season. Tied for 10th most in a single season in Blue Jay history with 2021 Bo Bichette and 2007 Alex Rios. 1-0 pitch is popped up, and that's playable on the right side of the diamond. Second baseman Brandon Lau makes the catch. 2 down. It's reasonable to think that Vlad could threaten the top 5 on that list. Number 5 is John Olerud, who had 200 hits in 1993. 5 Blue Jays ever have hit 200. But the next hit for Guerrero ties him with 93. Alomar in 9th, and then 3 hits after that. Aaron Hill in 2009. He's starting to climb the Blue Jays ranks in a couple different ways. Pitch to Spencer Horwitz with 2 outs. Runs in. He jogs out of the way. Ball 1. Base is empty with 2 outs. 3-1 Rays, top of the 7th. The 1-0. Called strike. The kick and the pitch from Clevenger, swing and a miss. So much movement and velocity on that 97-mile-per-hour sinker. 1-2.
And don't forget the funk. That's half the battle. I'm telling you, when you have a funky delivery like that, obviously you don't get taught that as a young age. That's just natural, but it's so hard to pick up.
It's very herky-jerky would be the best way to describe it, I think, from Clevenger. It is not one fluid motion.
So it takes that 97-mile-an-hour fastball with life through the zone, and it probably seems like it's 99, maybe 100 miles an hour.
His 1-2. High at 98. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Although if you're throwing 98, I don't know how much more you need.
No. Left on left, the 2-2. Down and away with the slow breaking ball. That was a sweeper at 80. Ball 3. Spencer Horwitz is 2 for 3 today. Pair of singles. He had an infield single for the lone Blue Jays run. Knocked in Nathan Lucas in the 5th. 3-2. Low ball 4 and a well-worked walk by Horwitz. And now the tying run comes to the plate and Alejandro Kirk.
Yeah, pretty good at-bat right there. Obviously, Spencer Horwitz is giving you a good at-bat. He does every single time. Took a tough slider off the plate and then took a tough fastball there just below the strike zone.
Kirk just made the big defensive play. Can he come up with a big moment at the plate? 5 home runs on the year, 49 RBIs. 2 outs, runner on first, and the pitch. Swing and a fly ball sprayed to the right side foul, 0-1. Also, the 13-game hit streak on the line for Alejandro Kirk. Longest active in the American League coming into today. Oh, 1. 98 on the outside edge. Strike 2. Clevenger dangling his left arm as he looks in. Shakes off one side. Shakes off another. And now he's set. 0-2. No, it's going to be a throw over to first. Kicked the leg up, fooled me, but not Spencer Horwitz, who got back in standing up. Clevenger set again. A breath. And his 2-strike offering. Swing and a line drive right center field. Sinking and down it bounces past low to the warning track. Horwitz off to the races around third. He's going to come in to score. Kirk around second. He's trying for third. It's a triple for Alejandro Kirk. And the Blue Jays are within one. 3-2 Rays in the top of the 7th.
Well, I thought Josh Lowe was going to catch that baseball, but he lost it in the lights. He lost it in something up there. And he let that ball go by him. And Alejandro Kirk with the RBI and the triple. How many times have you seen that?
Never. It's the first career triple for Alejandro Kirk. He's getting fanned off right now by Carlos Fablis, the third base coach. And Guerrero's asking for the baseball, saying we got to get Kirky that ball. Barking to the home plate umpire, so is the rest of the Blue Jay dugout. You're right, though. That was a weird one from Lowe. He was charging, and I think it was the light because he all of a sudden kind of crumpled off to the side and let the ball bounce past him.
I think if Alejandro was running hard the whole way, he didn't run hard till about halfway to first base.
Are you going to say what I think you're going to say?
Yeah.
I don't know if he gets an inside the park home run.
You never know. You never know.
That's a big ask. But you are right that I think he kind of figured it was a single or an out.
Yeah.
And so he's jogging down to first base, but RBI triple. I think the Blue Jays did get their hands on that baseball.
That's good. That's just good, clean fun right there.
3-2 ball game now, and a hit could tie it here as Addison Barger comes up to the plate for the Blue Jays. No, it's going to be a pinch hitter, Ernie Clement. Clevenger's pitch. Swing and a fly ball center field. Siri walking to his left, gets into a jog, and he'll make a two-handed catch to end the inning. Blue Jays inch closer. One hit. The RBI triple by Kirk makes it 3-2 Rays at the 7th inning stretch. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
It's time to celebrate you with the Party at the Ballpark. On Friday, September 27th, dial up your fall wardrobe with the Blue Jays Fanal Giveaway presented by TD.
They go back-to-back in the bottom of the 9th. How much fun was that? It is loud here in Rogers Center, and 40,000 are chanting his name.
Get ready for good vibes and a chance to win great prizes.
What a weekend for the Blue Jays.
Fan Appreciation Weekend, presented by TD, September 27th, 28th, and 29th. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com.
We're 2 men in a truck, the movers who care. You never know when cardiac arrest can happen. That's why each and every one of our trucks carries a life-saving Mikey defibrillator as part of our Mikey on Board program. Whether we're on the highway or in front of your house, we're prepared to help anyone whose heart may skip a beat. The Mikey Network has saved many lives, making Mikeys accessible to the public. And now they're on board our trucks. We're 2 men in a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
This October on Sportsnet.
Did you see that?
Be here for a brand new season. For rivalries.
Wow.
Be here for superstars. Because once the action starts, here we go. The excitement is here to stay. October 8th, the puck drops here.
Are you ready?
Sportsnet, here for hockey.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Middle in fastball, but he puts it by Cruz. 2 down.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Bottom of the 7th inning, close game at Tropicana Field. It's Rays 3, Blue Jays 2 as Brendan Little takes over on the hill again. He got the final 2 outs of the 6th inning, and he's back in now for the 7th inning with Ben Rortvedt, Taylor Walls, and Yandy Diaz scheduled to hit for Tampa Bay. Some defensive switches for the Blue Jays that we'll get to in a second, resulting from Ernie Clement pinch hitting last inning. First, though, Little in the set, and his left-on-left pitch to Ben Rortvedt. Swing and a miss, strike one. Addison Barger, the right fielder, was lifted, and Clement came in. So Ernie Clement goes into short. Leo Jimenez bumps from short to second. Davis Schneider has moved from second to left, and Nathan Lucas goes from left to right. 0-1. Rortvedt chops it on the ground to second base. Jimenez just moved there. He picks it up, throws to first. 1 out.
Good job throwing strikes right there from Brendan Little. Your team just got a big run. You have to come back out there and throw strikes, and he throws 2 in a row to get an easy out.
Now we'll get the 9-hitter in Taylor Walls, a switch hitter who this season has been fairly even from both sides. Has struggled overall on the year, batting .185 with 1 homer in 79 games. First pitch hit on the ground softly to third. Guerrero comes in, gloves, throws to first, and his first play of the day, or his first ground ball of the day, is an out. Vlad to Horwitz, 2 down.
I don't know if you saw that, but that throw had a little bit of sink to it.
That's not what you want.
That's not what you want. I'm Spencer Horwitz. I'm saying, hey, throw that thing 4-seamer. No more sinkers over there.
2 outs by Little. The order about to flip over to Yandy Diaz, and John Schneider walking out to the mound to make a pitching change. A scoreless inning and a third from Little. He gets the pat on the back. And as Dylan Tate is set to come in, we'll go back to our host today. Here's Show Ali.
Thank you very much, guys. And before we check on the out-of-town scoreboard, don't forget we do have Jays Talk this evening. I have a solo edition of the post-game show tonight. Jays Talk after the final out. Take your phone calls and your texts, 590-590. Name and location. That's the People's Text line. It's always open. Standard data and messaging rates do apply. Phone numbers-wise, I'll throw those out for you to call once this game is in the books. All right, let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. Let's take a look around Major League Baseball. We're in the home stretch of the 2024 season, which means playoff spots are beginning to take shape. In the American League, just 2 teams have clinched spots entering play today, the New York Yankees and the Cleveland Guardians, though many of the division leaders across Major League Baseball, not just in the AL, have very high probabilities of clinching their division. Some scores right now from around the out-of-town scoreboard. Tigers leading the Orioles 4-2, top of the 8th inning. Tigers, of course, a game back of the Twins, who got rained out today, so they can make some moves toward that third wildcard spot if they hang on for a win in Baltimore. The Mets lead the Phillies, end of the 8th inning, 6-3. They're doubling up the Phillies at Citi Field. The Braves lead the Marlins, top of the 8th, 6-2. And the Giants currently lead the Royals 4-0, top of the 6th inning. A couple of finals as well. The Reds beating the Pirates 7-1, and the Nationals beating the Cubs 5-1. Couple of games coming up later on tonight as well, including in about half an hour, the Mariners taking on the Rangers at 7:05 p.m. Eastern, 4:05 p.m. Pacific. The Angels take on the Astros in Houston at Minute Maid Park, 7:10 p.m. Eastern, 4:10 p.m. Pacific. Blue Jays baseball, as always, is brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Let's get you back to the action with the call. Here's Ben Shulman and Chris LaRue.
Thank you very much, Joe. Recent acquisition, Dylan Tate is in the game for the Blue Jays. Hard-throwing righty deals to Yandy Diaz and misses outside, ball 1. 2 outs, nobody on, bottom of the 7th. 3-2 Rays over Blue Jays. Tate winds and offers. Front door breaking ball for a strike, 1-1.
Tate was pretty impressive in his Blue Jays debut, going 1 inning, striking out a couple of batters.
Longtime Oriole kicks and fires. And the sweeper is popped up. Middle of the infield. Guerrero is racing in, and it bounces behind him. He overran it. There wasn't a lot of movement from anyone else but Guerrero, who was darting in from a deep position at third, and he came in too hard. The ball lands behind him. I believe Diaz will be credited with a single on that play as no one touched it, and that's really tough luck for Dylan Tate and the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I don't know if he lost it or he just overran it, but that just goes to show you this ballpark is really tough. When you pop a ball up like that, you never know what's going to happen. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. really nowhere near that baseball.
Pitch now to Brandon Lau. Outside with the changeup, ball 1. They did rule it a hit. Tate trying to settle back in from the stretch now. Righty's got a sinker, a sweeper, and a changeup. 1-0. Swing and another high pop-up. This one drifting into center field. Lo Perfido has a beat on it. He'll make the catch. And Tate makes that gap in the infield not matter as he gets the out off Lau and ends the 7th inning. No runs on a hit, 1 left. 3-2 Rays as we go to the 8th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center. Streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Sports Grid Radio on Sirius XM has you covered this NFL season.
Week 3 wraps up with 2 Monday night games. It's Jags vs. Bills and Commanders vs. Bengals. The Bills opened up as a 3.5-point favorite and the Bengals a full 7. Both games started with a total at 47.5. Make sure you tune into Sports Grid Radio to stay up to date on all the latest.
The place to get the winning edge over the sports books this football season is Sports Grid Radio. Channel 159 in the car and on the Sirius XM app.
Are you regretting eating that gas station hot dog? Yeah, we know. We've been there too. This is a message for baseball fans like you. Did you know that you get a channel that's talking baseball 24/7 as part of your Sirius XM subscription?
What?
Our lineup includes shows hosted by former big leaguers and executives. Plus, you'll hear from 17 managers each week. MLB Network Radio is on Sirius XM Channel 89. Or just search MLB Network Radio on the SXM app. Sirius XM Sports. We're more than just a game.
While you're listening to this game on Sirius XM, we're talking about the latest odds and prop bets for this and every game on Sports Grid Radio.
The under's minus 125. Heavy juice to the under.
Every home run hit and every strikeout thrown can change the line.
I can't for the life of me figure out how you can favor a team that never wins, ever.
If you're looking for sports talk centered around the latest odds and prop bets for games, races, tournaments, or any sporting event, Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 159.
Hi, this is Alexa. Did you know you can listen to this game on devices with Amazon Alexa? Download the Sirius XM app. Then tell me to play the Blue Jays on Sirius XM.
No.
8th inning at Tropicana Field. Welcome back to Blue Jays Baseball. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Drew Rasmussen, the starter converted to a reliever, is into the ball game for Tampa Bay to pitch the 8th inning. Rays clinging to a 1-run lead. Blue Jays have scored the last couple runs. It's 3-2 Tampa Bay. The pitch to Davis Schneider. Fastball at the knees, dropped by the catcher Rortvedt, and maybe because of that, it's called a ball, 1-0. For Rasmussen, his 14th appearance. 4 of them were starts, although they were all 1 or 2 inning opens rather than real starts. Righty's 1-0. High, 2 balls, no strikes. A 2.78 ERA this season in 22 2/3 innings pitched. A stud starter for the Rays in 2022 with a 2.84 ERA in 28 starts. 2-0 pitch called strike, 2-1. But injury has really derailed him since May of 2023. The 2-1. Breaking ball poured over for strike 2.
Well, he's definitely got good stuff. 95 to 97 with that fastball. And a pretty good breaking ball right there.
Long beard for the righty. He's set, and the 2-2. Schneider takes off the plate with a cutter. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Rasmussen averages 98 on his 4-seamer. 96 on his sinker. His 3-2. 96 on the outside corner, called strike 3.
And there's not much you can do with that if you're Davis Schneider. Probably looking something off speed there. Rasmussen just dots that thing down and away at 96 miles an hour. Almost impossible to hit.
So 1 out, and Leo Jimenez is up to the plate. 1 for 3 today. He's singled in the 6th inning. The pitch. Fastball for a strike. Jimenez got his hit off the lefty Mason Montgomery. hard-throwing lefty reliever. Now he faces a hard-throwing righty. And a sweeper bounces down and away, 1-1. Rays 3, Blue Jays 2, 1 out, bases empty, top of the 8th. The 1-1. Called strike. We've talked plenty about how odd it is how often Leo Jimenez gets hit by pitches. John Schneider did mention today they're examining his batting stance now to see if there are better ways to protect him. 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss at 98, strike 3.
It doesn't seem like there's something out of the ordinary with him. Sometimes you'll get him, a little check swing and he'll expose the wrist or the hand. But other than that, it looks pretty normal to me.
Joey Loperfido up now after the Jimenez punch out. The pitch. Swing and a miss at 98, elevated 0-1.
Have you seen anything out of the ordinary?
I think he hangs in sometimes when a pitch is coming at him, and maybe they prefer him to get on base a little less because of that and spin out, but I didn't see him going way over the plate. Swing and a miss at an 0-1 at 98, and it's 0-2. 3-2 Rays, 2 outs, top of the 8th. Loperfido asking for time. Will take a step out of the box. Left-handed hitter hit his 13th double of the season down the left field line in the 6th. He's 1 for 3. The 0-2. Swing and a rocket foul to the left. Loperfido stuck the bat out and hit that 100-mile-per-hour fastball so hard it ricocheted off the backstop and rolled all the way back to the mound where Rasmussen picked it up. Another 0-2. Down and in at 98, and Loperfido quick to jump out of the way. I don't blame him.
That one 98 miles an hour, had a little sink to it too. You don't see that every day.
That was the sinker, which is the slower of his 2 fastballs. But not very slow at all. 1-2. Down and in with the breaking ball. Bounced it near the back foot. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Loperfido taps the plate twice. Looks out at the righty reliever, Drew Rasmussen. The pitch. Swing and a grounder, foul first base side. If Loperfido can find a way aboard, the top of the order is coming up next. George Springer is the on-deck hitter for Toronto. Two-two. Swing and a fly ball back behind the plate, out of play.
Joey Loperfido's putting together a pretty good AB. He's fighting off some tough pitches. That one there, an elevated fastball at 99. He just fouls it back, stays alive.
Left-handed hitter stands on the toes of his front right foot. Another 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Got him on a cutter below the zone. And that's a big inning from Rasmussen. He strikes out the side and keeps the Rays on top 3-2 as we go to the bottom of the 8th. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Beat the rush. Protect your vehicle with Canada's #1 rust protection today. Find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between pizza and inflation. First to the plate, with over 2 million sold, it's Fixed Rate Pizza, a hot and fresh extra-large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for Fixed Rate Pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza
pizzapizza.ca. Monday, September 23rd on City TV.
I like to know what my patients are experiencing to feel how they're feeling.
New series Brilliant Minds follows revolutionary neurologist Dr. Oliver Wolf.
You can't treat a patient without understanding who they really are.
As he explores the human mind.
You see the stuff the rest of us miss. It's a gift.
I choose to walk with my patients, find a path forward when nobody else will.
The series premiere of Brilliant Minds, Monday, September 23rd on City TV.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Fastball painted at the bottom of the zone, and that's back-to-back strikeouts.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
This copyrighted broadcast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership or the Sportsnet Radio Network. 3-2 Rays, bottom of the 8th. Dylan Tate on the mound for the Blue Jays once again, and he bounces the first pitch in to Junior Caminero, 1-0. 0 for 3 day for Caminero, a strikeout and a pair of groundouts, 1-0. Swing and a liner, hot shot to center field, down on a bounce, and into the glove of Lo Perfido. It's a single to lead off the bottom of the 8th.
Well, you were talking about herky-jerky earlier, and Dylan Tate is definitely one of those pitchers who is herky-jerky. Here comes John Schneider to get him, though.
With two left-handed hitters about to come up in the next 3, Genesis Cabrera had been warming up, so Schneider will go into his bullpen for Genesis Cabrera. Line looks a little bit worse for Tate than it probably was. He leaves with 2 hits and 3 batters faced, although a pop-up in the infield dropped in for a hit last inning. So Tate is out, Cabrera in, Blue Jays down 3-2, runner on first, nobody out, bottom of the 8th. And here's our host today, Show Ali.
Thanks very much, Ben. Before we check the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. One more reminder that we do have Jays Talk after this game is over. I have the post-game show solo today, so send me your phone call, send me your text. Text can be sent to 590-590, name and location. That's the People's Text line. It is always open. Standard data and messaging rates may apply. I'll throw out the phone numbers for you to call once this game is in the books. We can chat about Yariel Rodriguez. I am certain we will chat about Alejandro Kirk and maybe chat a little bit about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. too as well. Lots to get to on Jays Talk after the ball game. All right, let's check the out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by St. Louis Bar and Grill. A reminder that if you're looking forward to NHL preseason action, it begins in earnest in about 15 minutes. Blues will take on the Stars at 7 Eastern. Binnington to Smith, the expected goalie matchup there. Penguins will take on the Sabres. That game will also get going at 7 Eastern. In about an hour and 15 minutes, the Wild will take on the Jets in Winnipeg. That game gets going at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. For the Leafs here in Toronto, they will take on the Senators at Scotiabank Arena on Sunday night, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. That game will be on Sportsnet, the main Sportsnet television channel. It'll also be on our flagship station right here in Toronto, Sportsnet 590 The Fan, pregame and postgame. Will both precede and follow that game as well. If we take a look around the out-of-town scoreboard elsewhere, a lot of finals in the English Premier League action. We got Fulham beating Newcastle 3-1, Aston Villa beating the Wolves 3-1, and a 0-0 draw for Crystal Palace and Man U. We'll get Man City and Arsenal going head-to-head tomorrow morning, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Pacific. Blue Jays baseball, as always, is brought to you by Crown Rust Protection. Genesis Cabrera now on the mound for the Blue Jays. Back to the action with the call. Here's Ben Schulman and Chris LaRue.
Thank you, Show. Cabrera in and a pinch runner in for the Rays. Jose Caballero is running now for Junior Caminero. Caballero, the Panamanian, at first, nobody out. And the pitch to Jonathan Aranda. Actually, first it's going to be a step and throw to first. Caballero took off. The throw goes from first to second, and Ernie Clement applies the tag. Caballero is out. He took off when Cabrera made his first move, and wisely Cabrera redirected his attention to first. Nice throw by Horwitz to Clement, and the Blue Jays cut down the runner.
Yeah, that was a really tough throw for Spencer Horwitz, throwing over the left shoulder of Caballero, but he did it perfectly. Sometimes you'll get that throw off the helmet or off the shoulder, but perfect throw right there.
So now Cabrera works with the bases empty and misses down and away to Jonathan Aranda, ball 1. Pretty nice if you're Genesis Cabrera. You get an out on your line before you throw your first pitch. Is 1-0 now. Swing and a miss on a cutter, 1-1. Blue Jays clearly conscious of Aranda right now, bringing in the lefty to face him specifically. Aranda 2 for 2 with a homer, a single, and a walk. 1-1. Swing and a miss at another cutter. 1-2.
Well, he's the new Blue Jay killer. Ryan Mountcastle is no longer.
Step aside. Masataka Yoshida moved the other way. Aranda adjusting his batting glove, steps back in. It's only his 37th game of the year, but he's been really hot since rejoining the Rays recently. Maybe carving out a more full-time role next season. 1-2. Fastball lifted down the left field line, slicing into foul territory. It's going to go out of play.
That was a good challenge fastball from Cabrera. 98 miles an hour right down the middle. Here it is. Good luck.
You could tell after a couple cutters, Aranda, I mean, he was ready enough to spoil it, which was a good job by him, but he was not ready to square up 98. Four-seamer sinker, cutter, curve, changeup for Cabrera. Lefties 1-2. Another cutter rolled over to first base on the ground. Picked up by Horwitz. He goes to the bag himself. 2 down.
A little bit of an easier play that time for Spencer Horwitz. Just a little Sunday hop right to the chest. And he steps on first base for the second out of the inning.
So 2 down now. Bases empty. 3-2 Rays, bottom of the 8th. Rays have held on to the lead since the second inning, but the Blue Jays will have the top of the order up in the 9th. Pitch to Christopher Morel. Swing and a miss at 98, 0-1. He's got the real juice today, does Cabrera.
His 66th game of the year. He's still throwing 98 miles an hour with a little bit of life through the strike zone.
Earned run average just barely over 3 right now for Cabrera. 0-1 pitch low, 1-1. Peel on a check swing, no swing, says Nate Tomlinson. And I think the Blue Jays feel very comfortable sitting down at the end of the season and saying Yoenis Cabrera is the lead lefty reliever next season. 1-1. 98 called outside. It was pretty close. Cabrera bouncing around a little bit. It's 2-1.
Well, I think he's earned that. I think he's earned that confidence. Obviously, John Schneider uses him in big spots now. And then, of course, the stuff.
2-1. Swing and a miss at a big moving cutter. 2-2. You could make the argument he's been their best relief pitcher this season. Cabrera's 10th pitch of the inning. Bounce the cutter to the plate. A bit of a grunt there. It's 3-2.
Well, I think that argument is valid if you take into account the whole season. But Chad Green, I think, was pretty good up until about 2 weeks ago. Or
I think that those would
so.
be the contenders. Yeah. And it's essentially how much do you factor in the last couple weeks? 3-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. A skip off the mound from the lefty Cabrera. He punches out Morel with a cutter and ends a scoreless inning. We go to the 9th, and the Blue Jays need 1 to keep this game going. Springer, Lucas, Guerrero set to hit for Toronto when we return. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Live American music in support of homegrown food.
Welcome to Farm Aid, the concert for America. I can't wait to get on the road again.
Catch a star-studded benefit concert featuring Willie Nelson, Neil Young, John Mellencamp, Dave Matthews, Margot Price, and more.
Whiskey River, take my mind.
Farm Aid 2024. All day today on Willie's Roadhouse, Channel 61, and Dave Matthews Band Radio, Channel 30.
A new year in the NBA is right around the corner, and NBA Radio has you covered.
Tatum muscles it up and scoring a foul.
Our experts are breaking down the entire league.
That's going to be a fun team to watch.
And bringing you inside the locker room.
It is a must-win game.
Basketball season is just weeks away, and your 24/7 home for hoops is SiriusXM NBA Radio, Channel 86, and the all-new SiriusXM app.
The NFL Sunday Drive is your home for the 2024 regular season.
Caught for the touchdown!
This is Steve Torrey. Join me and Bill Leckus every Sunday at noon Eastern as we take you live to every game, every touchdown, and every key moment.
Bucs take the lead with 9 seconds left.
Plus, reporters from every game, fantasy updates, and guests live from the locker room.
49ers tight end George Kittle.
Catch the NFL Sunday Drive every Sunday at noon Eastern on NFL Radio Channel 88 and on the all-new SiriusXM app.
In season or out of season, the #1 place for college sports is SiriusXM College Sports Radio, Channel 84.
Sportsnet Radio Network.
Top of the 9th inning in Tampa Bay. Blue Jays trailing the Rays 3-2 in St. Petersburg at Tropicana Field. George Springer up, and the first pitch from Drew Rasmussen is swung on and missed, strike one. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Rasmussen struck out the side in the 8th inning, comes back looking for a 6-out save. The 0-1. Check swing, pitch down and in. They ask for the appeal to first, but it's not granted. 1 ball, 1 strike. Springer's 0 for 4 today, 3 groundouts and a strikeout. Right on right, the pitch. Swing and a soft liner just over the mound. Bounces and goes to the second baseman, Lau, who throws to first, and there's 1 out.
Well, that fastball right there absolutely blew up George Springer on the inside part of the plate, actually off the plate inside. And he just hits a little weak line drive to the second baseman for the first out in this inning.
Welcome to the Timber Mart broadcast booth. Again, Ben Schulman and Chris LaRue. Nick Blackmore, our producer. Tom Young, our technical director. Our host and Blue Jays talk host after the game is Show Ali. Nathan Lucas is up. Rasmussen's 22nd pitch of the outing. Hit back foul, 0-1. Toronto knows at a minimum it brings Vladimir Guerrero Jr. up to the plate as the tying run next. But they would love a base runner in front of him. 0-1. Up and in, 1 ball, 1 strike. Rays with a run in the second and a 2-run homer in the third. Jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Blue Jays have scored twice since. 1-1 pitch inside, 2 balls and 1 strike. The righty Rasmussen only has 1 career save. He's mostly been a starter over the last couple seasons, but he came up with Milwaukee as a reliever and did have a save in 2021. His 2-1. Swing and a soft ground ball to first base. Aranda on it, goes to first base and gets the out. Blue Jays down to their last hope.
Well, he might be a starter normally, but Rasmussen has very good bullpen stuff. Upper 90s fastball absolutely blows up Nathan Lucas right there.
So the last chance for the Blue Jays is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. 3 hits today, 3 for 4 total. And does he have another big swing in him to keep this one going? 2 outs, bases empty, 3-2 Rays. And the pitch from Drew Rasmussen. Outside with the cutter, ball 1. 30 home runs on the season for Guerrero. 99 RBIs. 1-0. Swing and a foul back. Reached for a fastball outside and sent it back into the netting.
Well, he's looking for home run number 31 and RBI number 100. That's for sure with a swing like that.
Yeah, he let it rip on that one after 3 singles earlier today. 1-1. Swing and a fly ball. Right field. Playable for Lowe. He makes the catch and ends the ball game. The Rays, with early offense and good pitching throughout, take the game 3-2, securing the series win.
Yeah, the Blue Jays unfortunately came up against Taj Bradley, who was really good today with that big fastball, 96-98. Just gave up 1 earned run over his 5 innings, but we talked about it before the ball game. This is a guy that's very young right now, just 23 years old, trying to put it all together. But today he really showed that when he does put it together, he's a pretty good starter.
Bradley and the Rays win 3-2. We will take a quick step aside, wrap it up, and then get you over to Blue Jays Talk with Show Ali. 3-2 Rays. You're listening to Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center, streaming at sportsnet.ca and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
At Crown Rust Control Center, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control Center is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle. Beat the rush. Protect your vehicle with...
What's up, insiders? Thanks for hanging out with us all season long. Blue Jays fans, baseball fans, sports fans alike, thank you for being a part of this amazing community. When I started this up last October, when we were heading into hockey season with 3,000 subscribers, I would have never imagined that we would have a community of 40,000 plus by the time we get to hockey season. We're almost there. We're going to get there with your help, but I just wanted to say thank you all so much for helping me create this amazing Toronto sports community. I couldn't have done it without you. Now, let's get back to the baseball. We've only got a few games left. Then it's the football and hockey season with basketball shortly thereafter. Go Jays, go. Thank you for a great season. Cheers, insiders. Let's get back to the chat. We'll see you in there. Thank you.
The end of 2024. I dare say, folks, inflation stands no chance against this all-star. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for fixed rate pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca.
We're two men in a truck.ca. We've got lots of men and lots of trucks, so get ready to be moved.
Think 2 men in a truck, 2 men in a truck.ca. So when you gotta move, all moving day. Think 2 men in a truck, 2 men in a truck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2 men in a truck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks, so give us a call today.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Swanson staring at second, comes home with a 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
For the second straight day, the Rays limit the Blue Jays' bats and defeat Toronto. 3-2 is the final score in favor of Tampa Bay. They win the first 2 in the series, ensuring a series win. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Chris LaRue. Thanks so much for sticking around with us. Blue Jays talk coming up in just a sec. But first, let's go back to the starters today. You talked about Taj Bradley already, who was really good. 5 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. He did do a good job of stranding base runners. Blue Jays stranded 7 guys in the first 5 innings. On the other side, Yariel Rodriguez came in relatively hot to this start, had a strong first inning, but in the second, third, and fourth, he walked the leadoff batters, and it hurt him in the second and third.
Yeah, his last 3 starts have been really good, and we talked about this before the game started, but in order for Yariel to be as good as he can be, he needs to pound the strike zone with the fastball, and he just didn't do that from the second inning until about the 4th inning. In that first inning, he was incredible. The fastball velocity was up. The off-speed pitches had good spin to them, but that's not always the only thing that matters. You have to locate your fastball, and you cannot walk the first batter of an inning, and of course he did that today.
2 of those 3 guys came in to score, and once again, just like yesterday, Jonathan Aranda's home run ended up being decisive. He caught a fastball that was actually above the zone and hit it out of the yard 414 feet to center field to make it 3-0 Rays in the third. The Blue Jays would come up with a couple of runs, 1 in the 5th and 1 in the 7th, and it was really 2, 3, 4 in the Blue Jay order that did a lot of the damage. You look at Nathan Lucas, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and Spencer Horwitz, and I'll throw Alejandro Kirk in there too because he came up with his first career triple.
That was the most fun I've had in the last at least a couple of games when Alejandro Kirk was rumbling around the bases for his first career triple. But the Blue Jays really never got anything going. It was almost like when they did get something going early on in this ball game, whoever was on the mound for the Tampa Bay Rays, they just shut it down quickly. There were some good arms out there for the Rays today, and they really showed that when they need it, they use their stuff.
In the last 3 Blue Jay losses, including today, they have not hit a home run, and that has prevented the Blue Jays from having a big offensive day, at least one of the things that's prevented them from having a big offensive day so far in this series. The Blue Jays fall 3-2, scoring 2 runs on 9 hits, no errors. They leave 10 on. The Rays, 3 runs on 7 hits, no errors. They leave 5 on. The win for Taj Bradley, he's 7-11. Yariel Rodriguez moves to 1-7 with the loss. And for Drew Rasmussen, only his 2nd career save and 1st as a Tampa Bay Ray. He pitched the last 2 innings and retired every batter he faced, including Guerrero, to end the game. This one took 2 hours, 47 minutes in front of a crowd of almost 21,000, and the Rays win it. Again, 3-2. Tampa Bay now within a game of 500 at 77-78 and leapfrog Boston for 3rd in the American League East. The Blue Jays are 73-82 now, ensuring that this will be a below 500 season for Toronto. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. From our technical director, Tom Young, our producer, Nick Blackmore, our host, Show Ali, and my partner, Chris LaRue. I'm Ben Schulman. Hope you have a great rest of your Saturday. And stick around. Get your calls, get your texts in. Have your thoughts heard. It's Blue Jays Talk with Show Ali, starting right now.
And I'm sure I'm not the only person who thinks this, but games at the Trop are just kind of what? You know, like they're not very exciting. It's one of the few places where it just feels like the energy just gets like sucked right out of the stadium, like right out of both teams. The pace just gets ground down to nothing. It's like the slowest games I've ever seen. It's funny. I've actually been to the Trop a couple of times back in 2008. I have a lot of family that lives in Florida, so we had gone to Tampa for a couple different events, and we went to a Bolts game, which by the way gets absolutely packed, especially these days. But the Trop, I don't know, and that was when the Rays were pretty good. In 2008, they went to the World Series that year, but still, just not a lot of excitement to be had at Tropicana Field. Today was much the same, a 3-2 ho-hum loss for the Jays, and as Ben said, they lose the series in St. Petersburg. I'm Show Ali. You're listening to Jays Talk live on the Sportsnet Radio Network. We're also streaming on sportsnet.ca and on the Sportsnet app. Give me a call, 416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. You can text me as well. 590-590, name and location. That's the People's Text Line. It's always open. Standard messaging and data rates may apply. A quick bit of housekeeping before we chat about Y-Rod and Kirk and so on. Corey in Regina and Lori here in Toronto were our 2 winners from last week. If you recall, we did some giveaways. Lori took the Barrios Roberto Clemente bobblehead, and Corey took the pink Jays Caravana hat for his daughter. So we still have the Bo Bichette bobblehead and the yellow Jays Caravana hat as well to give away. Next weekend is Fan Appreciation Weekend, the final series of the regular season at the Rogers Center. So we'll see if we can just wrangle up some more stuff to give away next weekend as well. But anyways, today's game, 3-2 Jays loss. I'm not sure we learned a ton about anyone in this game, Jays or Rays, actually. It's a loss that guarantees a few things. One, that the Jays will not be a 500 team this year. They have 82 losses now on the season with 7 games remaining, and they have been mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Now, I actually think the mathematically being eliminated technically happened overnight after yesterday's loss, and then with some results that went on around Major League Baseball, instead of as a result of like this game in particular. But the Twins were idle in the 3rd wildcard spot today. They were there was a rain out, I believe, in Boston at Fenway Park. But entering play today, Jays were already 8 games back of the Twins with 8 to play, again, entering this game. And then they lose 3-2 today. So they're now 8.5 games back with 7 to play. So that put an end to that. I'm not sure. Maybe we really thought otherwise collectively. Maybe there was that brief moment post-trade deadline when it was a fleeting passing thought through our brains. But yeah, unfortunately, that is put to bed officially right now. Let's talk a little bit about Yariel Rodriguez. And 4 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 runs all of which were earned. 3 walks, which were not great. 3 strikeouts. He threw 81 pitches, 49 strikes. Just from a stuff perspective, the fastball did have some life to it early on. We've seen before when Wyrod struggles that sometimes the velo on the fastball doesn't quite get up to where we've seen it at different times. But today it was living, 94, 95 miles an hour, perhaps on average. It got up to about 96, 97 miles an hour at points as well, although he was a little wilder with those throws. It was interesting. We did see a fair amount of sliders today. Chris LaRue pointed this out during the game, but the slider early on did not have a lot of vertical break or vertical depth to it, perhaps. It did move a fair amount horizontally instead. He was just leaving it over the plate a decent amount. Josh Lowe, for example, just missing on one of them with a pair of runners aboard. And I mean, if he had gotten all of that, that would have been a no doubt 3-run home run because, again, it was left right over the middle. Jose Siri's missing on one as well. And it's funny because despite getting struck out a few pitches later in that AB, the slider that struck out Siri, this was in the second inning, that slider did actually have a ton of downward movement, downward action. So it almost seemed like he was figuring it out on the fly with Kirk today. Ultimately, a so-so start for Wyrod. Gives up 3 earned runs over just 4 innings of work. He walks 3 batters, and he puts a batter on to lead off an inning 3 times. So basically immediately putting pressure on himself because of a somewhat stark inability to consistently locate the zone. He was filling up the strike zone early on, it felt, but as the outing went on, it almost seemed like that deteriorated a little bit. At least for me, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that my opinion largely changed today of Wyrod. I'm not sure it was going to. I'll be completely honest because I'm not sure what we could have learned. And I've said this about a lot of different guys this year, but I'm not sure what we could have learned overall in, let's say, 2 more starts from Yariel Rodriguez, unless he was super hyper efficient and striking out tons of guys, and he had suddenly locating all of his pitches, and he's finding the strike zone. Like if that was happening really consistently, even over 2 starts, I think you'd say, okay, this is a super small sample size, but at least give you some hope. But again, today we did not get that. I'm not sure we found out anything particularly negative about him either. I just think that I don't think we saw anything from Yariel Rodriguez that we didn't necessarily already know, right? We didn't take a step towards him being the 5th starter, for example. The truth is we're probably not going to find out a whole hell of a lot towards that question, at least until the offseason, I would say, when we see how the Jays answer that 5th starter question. But I mean, if you're trying to answer that question now, at the very least, I think if you're trying to make a decision right this second, I think we're all probably in agreement that he is not the 5th starter. There's a text here from Ian in Ridgeville. Wyrod needs to start next season in AAA if Toronto wants to compete next year. And I mean, look, he doesn't necessarily have to start the year in AAA. He could at least start the year in the bullpen, at the very least, right? I mean, if Yariel Rodriguez is in the bullpen, he's an expensive bullpen piece. That is true. And he's under contract for 4 more years after this one. But Yariel Rodriguez, I don't think he needs to necessarily be a bison out of camp next season for it to be a success. It's just, maybe if you're trying to make that decision right this second, it probably means he is not in the starting rotation, at least to start. But, we'll have to see. I mean, it's kind of funny how the conversation between Rodriguez and Francis has essentially completely flipped in the last, month or so. I like to use the demarcation point of Canada Day just because on Canada Day, if you recall, Yariel Rodriguez got the start against, I want to say it was the Astros, and pitched extremely well at the Rogers Center. And, it's kind of, I don't want to say been all downhill since then, but he's had a bit of more of a topsy-turvy season since the beginning of July, whereas Bowden Francis, once he came off the IL, went back into the rotation, he has been the guy who has effectively taken no-hitters into the 9th inning, not once but twice. So the perception of both these guys have almost completely flip-flopped, because we were having the conversation at the beginning of July, we would have said, yeah, Yariel Rodriguez is in the rotation next year, and Bowden Francis is not. And now it's the perception is, I think, rightly so, because of both of their play has flipped. So I'll be interested to see if we do get one more start from Yariel. We'll see what they do. I mean, there's one more off day. Let's see, after the Red Sox series. There's the off day on the Thursday, and then there's a possibility that Yariel starts on maybe the Saturday or Sunday, depending on what they want to do. But he just hit, when you combine his 4 innings today, you combine his minor league innings and his major league innings today, or this year, pardon me, Yeah, those 4 innings from today, he gets just over 100 innings pitched, which is more than he has ever pitched before. And certainly he has never pitched in Major League Baseball before. So it's the most he's ever pitched at the Major League level. So I'm curious how that will look for him next season when it comes to him being stretched out. Does he go a little more? I mean, today, 81 pitches, but only 4 innings. So not very efficient at all, I would say. So if you're making the decision right this second, again, I'm saying he's probably in the bullpen, not in with the Bisons, but almost certainly not in the starting rotation. That's for sure. 416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. Those are the numbers to call. Let's go to Bob in Toronto. Bob, what's up? What's on your mind today?
Hi, show. First of all, I love your comment about the energy being sucked out of the place down there at Tropicana. It has got to be the most miserable place to play baseball. Every team that goes in there, I believe, has difficulty, and I think probably even the Tampa Bay team itself from time to time. I want to say that, first of all, it just illustrates today the fact that the Blue Jays could score only 2 runs over the 2 games, how much Vladdy needs support around him. The guy gets 3 hits today, and we can't do much with it at all. I think that's an indicator of what Kevin Barker has been saying. You need a thumper or 2 around him and then see the real results. The other thing I wanted to mention is about the system of the Tampa Bay Rays. Whatever we think of them, and they frustrate those of us who are Blue Jay fans very much from losing these games the way we do seem to them all the time. But they obviously have a good management system and particularly a good scouting system. You look at the players that they either bring in from other teams or bring up from the minors, and those relievers coming in, is there anybody below 96, 97, 98? I mean, this is something that we don't seem to have learned from a management perspective, particularly Ross Atkins, in developing a scouting system that can yield players like that. Take a look at the players that we've brought up, particularly pitchers. Hardly find one who isn't injured, who has really come to the fore, such as Manoah, but now he's out, that have really made it at the major league level. I think that speaks volumes of what needs to be done, not only on the field, but in the front office in the off season.
Hey, Bob, I appreciate the call. Thank you so much for joining me here on Jays Talk. I will say, I think I have heard, and I think this is thanks to Blake, actually, Blake Murphy on Jays Talk Plus. Blake has had Eric Neander, who's the president of baseball operations for the Rays, and then he's had other Rays baseball guests who have talked about like the development of the farm system in Tampa, which just always seems to just produce the next star that's going to irritate the AL East for the next like 10 to 15 years, just at the ready, right? I like to joke that the Rays can just sprinkle some pixie dust on the 5 guys next to the Trop, and the guy will go out there and probably go 2 for 4 with 2 runs or something, right? Like that's the common joke for the Rays scouting system. But you know, I do think that one criticism, I think, at least from a pitching perspective, is that it almost seems like because the Rays are so, I mean, we talk about like khakis and analytics and how teams have embraced that in the last, you know, I mean, they've always kind of embraced it to a certain extent, but how most teams these days have embraced this kind of like Moneyball-ish approach. And the Rays are like the worst, right? Like if, what's the word Barker uses? The cakification of Major League Baseball. It kind of starts in Tampa Bay, I would say. But man, they essentially go out there and just ride their pitchers until their arms fall off, right? Like you could essentially make a whole starting rotation out of what the Rays have on IL right now. The Dodgers too, and the Dodgers and the Rays have some real through lines, as we know, when it comes to their front office and the scouting department. So like I do think it's not all sunshine and rainbows for the Rays. But I do think if you're talking about the Blue Jays and you're talking about if you could swap their front office for the Rays front office, I think 99% of people would do that. Frankly, I think most teams in Major League Baseball would do that. I've always kind of wondered why a team, especially because we know the Rays do not operate with a particularly large payroll. I have always wondered why other teams don't necessarily just, like richer teams don't just go and just buy their whole scouting department and their general manager and just make that their new, like just clean house. A new president comes in and just takes everyone and brings them to a new team. I've always kind of wondered why they don't just do that. You would think that happens more frequently. I did want to talk a little bit about Vladdy though. And Vladdy, as Bob mentioned, 3 hits for Vladdy today. So he actually came into this game. These were his stats coming into today's ball game: 188 hits, 30 home runs, 99 RBI. So he had 3 hits to bring him up to 191 on the season. Didn't have a home run or a ribby today, so he's stuck on 30 and 99. So we'll put that aside for now. For comparison's sake, in 2021, Vladdy had 188 hits total that year. So with the first hit he had, I think it was in the first inning, he has a new career high in hits, right? The first of his 3 hits. I was actually curious to see where this ranked all time in a single season for the Jays, because we knew Bo was like pretty high up there from a couple of years ago. So Vladdy is now actually tied with Bo in his 2021 season and Alex Rios in 2007 for the 10th most hits in a single season by a Jays batter. So they're all tied for 10th with 191. It's pretty impressive. 7 games to go after today. So 9 more hits before he hits 200. I think he gets there. I think he gets to 200. I mean, if he gets to 200 hits, that would actually tie him with the 1993 season of John Olerud, who had 200 hits exactly, which is actually good for 5th all time in a single season in Blue Jays history. That's pretty remarkable. Only 5 Blue Jays, like in terms of single seasons, have ever gotten to that 200 hit plateau. Vernon Wells, 2003, had 215. Tony Fernandez in 1986 had 213. Paul Molitor in 1993 had 211. Shannon Stewart in 01, 202, and Olerud in 93 had 200. The rest of the top 10 is just below 200. So George Bell, 198, Delgado, 196, Aaron Hill, 195, Alomar in 1993, 192, and then here we are with Bo, Rios, and Vladdy. So it's, first of all, congratulations to Vladdy on hitting a new career high in hits, and he's not done yet. I mean, yeah, I guess he could go on like a 7-game hitless streak, I guess, but it seems pretty unlikely based on everything we've seen from Vladdy in the last couple of years. But that's pretty cool. I gotta say, I genuinely think he gets there. That's very impressive stuff. He could be just the, I guess, 6th if he's tied for 5th. He'd be the 6th Blue Jay in history to get to 200 hits in a single season. So, hey, I think it happens. I think if he's going to get to 215 in 7 games, like probably not. But 9 hits in 7 games, it seems pretty doable. 416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0591, star 590 on your cell, 590 name and location. We will go to the People's Text line in a sec. Let's chat with another Bob. Bob in Nova Scotia. Bob, what's up?
Hey, how you doing? Just want to talk about the Tampa's bullpen again, just kind of like what the other Bob was talking about. It seems like, talking about, Rodriguez, you said it, and Hunter Biggie. These guys were kind of cast-offs on other teams. Tampa either trades for them or gets them off waiver claim, and they seem to be able to develop these guys into really, really good pitchers. And when Toronto seems to do it, they can't seem to do it. The bullpen's terrible. It seems like I don't know what it is, the underground city or something in Tampa. They seem to be able to develop these guys into really good pitchers. And, going forward next year, not only does Toronto have to deal with the Yankees and Baltimore, now it looks like they have to deal with Tampa's bullpen, which is going to be another problem. So going forward, it should be interesting.
Yeah, hey, Bob, I appreciate the call. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, it's true. As we talk about the Rays a little bit more, I mean, They shed it. I want to say they shed at the deadline this year because they sold a lot at the deadline, right? They sold Isaac Paredes. They sold Zach Eflin. They had traded, I guess, Tyler Glasnow before the season started. They sold one of their relievers, Jason Adam. They sold Ahmed Rosario. They sold Randy Rosarena, who had been on the team for quite some time. They sold about $40 million worth of players to restock the farm system. And, I mean, they even in the Tyler Glasnow trade, which happened before the season when they traded Glasnow to the Dodgers, and they got Ryan Pepio. And, I mean, even Pepio kind of looked like someone who's going to be a thorn in the side, again, of the rest of the AL East for years and years and years. And, I mean, that's just like the Rays model, right? Like, they do it to the nth degree. Like, most, most players or most teams, rather, do kind of, to a certain extent, embrace the value added propositions of trying to, again, to use the term moneyball their way to success. And, I did kind of wonder after Wander Franco, who's probably never going to play baseball ever again, and for good reason, after Franco got the big deal and then that clearly bit the Rays in the butt, I kind of wonder if this is just what they're going to do forever, as long as Neander and company are at the helm here in Tampa. But, to your point, Bob, about the AL East, I mean, we talk a lot about how this team has said, and you kind of take with what Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro say with a grain of salt, because you kind of have to, right? Like, it's not the most transparent of front offices. They're pretty opaque as far as front office. I mean, no front office is going to tell you exactly what they're doing, but even with that in mind, I would say Atkins and Shapiro are pretty opaque. So knowing that, you take everything they say with a grain of salt. So I think you try and do that as much as humanly possible. But I mean, they say they want to compete next year. Here are all the areas of need next year. Let's just for a second put aside the bullpen, because if you're talking about the bullpen for 2025, it's Cabrera, who is probably, you feel pretty good about Cabrera being your number one lefty specialist going into 2025. Chad Green, because of contract, I know he's had a tough end to the season, but he's going to be in the bullpen next year, even if he shouldn't necessarily be the closer. But he will be in the bullpen in relatively high leverage. And then let's just say, for the sake of argument, Swanson and Romano are on the team next year. They're both making a decent amount of cash. They could each be non-tendered and then re-signed for a lower rate. We'll see what happens with them. But let's just say, for the sake of this discussion, they're in the bullpen. That's still a lot of spots for the Blue Jays to fill. So they have all of those spots to fill. They probably have to figure out, at the very least, what is going on with the third base position, whether that means getting someone to do it internally, whether that's Vladdy or Barger/Clement, or are they signing a big-time free agent? And if they do that, then first base needs an upgrade. But let's say you leave Vladdy at first. You need to figure out the third base situation. You need to figure out the left field situation. You need to figure out the DH situation. You need to sign a backup catcher. And we'll talk about Kirk, who had a pretty good game today. So we'll talk about Alejandro Kirk, but still you need a 1B catcher. You still need a fifth starter. I mean, when you're talking about competing in the AL East in 2025, I'm not saying it's impossible, because the third wild card has essentially guaranteed that it will almost always be possible if you're just like all right? Like, I've made the assertion before that if the Blue Jays had even just a normal bullpen, not even a good bullpen, and frankly, even if it was just slightly below average, we're probably talking about the Blue Jays contending for the third wild card alongside the Mariners and the Tigers, for example, right? So the third wild card is effectively guaranteed you can compete. Whether that's the same thing as being World Series contenders, I don't know. Those are not the two same things, I would argue. But it's just, man, that's a lot to get done. If you want to compete with a very young Orioles team, they have scuffled a little bit, but they're still going to make the playoffs. A Yankees team that are, I don't know, like probably re-signing Juan Soto. So even if they run it back exactly the same, it's still a team that won 90-plus games this season. And then the Red Sox, who are probably better than we thought they'd be this year. And then like everyone's talking about, the Rays. So there's a lot to get done in the offseason. You can get a lot of it done, but will you get all of it done? I don't know. I don't know. 590-590, name and location. That's the text line. Let's go to the People's text line. Again, standard data and messaging rates do apply. Let's see. See a text here from Mike in Toronto. Vladdy, you have to pay. How else can you charge for admission with a straight face? You go from almost signing the 50-50 unicorn, Shohei Ohtani, of course, to losing the MVP he was supposed to play next to. And then there was another one here from, I think this is from Lib in Scarborough. I don't understand people saying Vladdy is not worth the money. No one blinked an eye when Scotty Barnes was given a contract worth $50 million a year after just 3 years in the league. That's from Lib. And so some Vladdy comments, certainly, as we talk about some fun things he did today. It's true. I mean, I would be willing to bet that if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is not a Blue Jay, certainly he will be next year because he's under contract for next year. But if he's not a Blue Jay after that, I mean, gosh, like I know some people, especially when we do Jays talk, have some issues with some things he does. He's shushing to the crowd when he hits a home run, or the little leg kick between second and third, or kind of chatting with people when he's at first base, or the ice bucket stuff. Like, I know there's a lot of like not baseball things he does that people take exception with. I don't really care. I've said this before. I don't really care about that stuff. For me, it's all about the on-field production. But for Vladdy, even if he doesn't produce in the big moments, for example, I'm not sure that's necessarily true. But you're talking about money. I mean, he is. You go down to the ballpark. We go down there pretty often. I'm down there most weekends when the team's at home. I mean, he is beloved by the fans. He really is, especially young fans. He is like their hero. And I can't imagine what the vibe would be if he has a season like this again next year, and then he does not get re-signed and walks at free agency. And like, I wouldn't really blame him if he did, but man, they have got to get that deal done. I keep saying my bold prediction is that he will sign the extension by the end of like Halloween, let's say, but I don't know. Like, I mean, you want to see some traction on it. Maybe traction will be had once the season is over in just over a week, but Boy, that's got to get done. On the Scotty Barnes thing, I think he's being paid around $45 million a year, but I think the other part of it too is kind of a tough comparison, right? I'd make comparisons to the Raptors a lot because, the Raptors won a World Series, won the Larry O'B a couple of years ago, right before the pandemic. They made a big trade to get it done. They have not really gotten it done in consistent ways since then. And of course, the pandemic kind of messed with that season where arguably they could have won another championship. They were probably one of the better teams, if not the best team in the NBA. But since then, you're like making decisions about how to gauge people, like how to gauge. I mean, now they're not on the team anymore, but how to gauge Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet. Are these stars that can carry you? And those are the kind of comparisons we were having with Vladdy and Bo these last couple of years until Vladdy essentially made that, I think, a moot conversation this season. But it's funny because I think the only difference I'll say, just to wrap up on this point before we hit a break, I think the only difference is that a single player can have an outsized effect in basketball versus the kind of effect they can have in baseball. Like, unless they're doing what Shohei Ohtani did the other night to 6 for 6 and 10 RBI or whatever it was every single night, I'm going to say that most players are probably not. And this is a criticism we levied at the Angels for years, right? The Angels had Trout and Ohtani, and they didn't make the playoffs once, I think, in that span. So it's just, I think it's easier, I think, to make the case for a basketball player because there are only 5 guys on the court for each team at any time. And those guys do have the ability to make insane impacts on a single game, but less so with baseball, as we know. 590 name and location. That's the People's Text line. Standard messaging and data rates do apply. Shoot me some more text there. I see a whole bunch. We'll get to those on the other side. 416-870-0590, 1-888-660-590, star 590 on your cell. Those are the numbers to call. We'll take a quick break, go back to the phones, back to the text line, chat about Alejandro Kirk a little bit as well on the other side. You're listening to Jay's Talk on the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Timber Mart is Canada's building center, a solid neighbor to call upon when you've got a job to do. Your dependable home improvement store that offers the added value of Air Miles reward miles with every purchase of $15 or more. Visit timbermart.ca.
This October on Sportsnet.
Did you see that?
Be here for a brand new season. For rivalries.
Wow.
Be here for superstars.
Connor McDavid!
Because once the action starts,
here we go.
The excitement is here to stay. October 8th, the puck drops here.
Are you ready?
Sportsnet, here for hockey.
Hi, I'm Buck Martinez, live from the showdown between pizza and inflation. First to the plate, with over 2 million sold, it's Fixed Rate Pizza, a hot and fresh extra-large 4-topping pizza for a fixed price of $17.99 until the end of 2024. Here's the delivery. And inflation strikes out. That's a swing and a drive for Fixed Rate Pizza. Lock in yours today.
Order pizza.ca.
Which Looney Dogger are you? The Fork and Knifer, Splatterer, Condiment Queen, or Big Dipper? This season at Rogers Center, every Tuesday home game is Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneider's. You will have the opportunity to purchase $1 hot dogs from various concession stands around the stadium. Then show the world you're a Looney Dog style. Because whether you're the mustard maven or ketchup king, no Blue Jays game is complete without hot dogs. So don't miss out on this deal. Looney Dogs Night, presented by Schneider's, every Tuesday home game.
At Crown Rust Control, protection runs deep because every Crown Rust Control Center is owned by a local family who cares beyond business. Your Crown Rust Control is 100% committed to their product, to you, to their community, which is your community. Protecting you and what matters to you is equally important as protecting your vehicle.
Beat the rush. Protect your vehicle with Canada's #1 rust protection today. Find your local family-owned Crown Rust Control Center at crown.com.
We're 2 men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think 2 men and a truck, since you know they have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap, pack, and move everything you own. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're 2 men and a truck.
2 men and a truck, the movers who care.
Timber Mart always has plans to help you with your plans. Your home, your cottage, your garage, whatever needs your attention first, check the most visited spot on our website for ready-to-order plans to get the job done with Canada's Building Center. Visit timbermart.ca.
This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
Called strike 3, change up at the knees, and there's nothing you can do about that pitch.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Yeah, I feel like if Kirky hits a triple, you should win the game automatically. You know, that should be a new rule for MLB to listen to. But, you know, fitting place here at the Trop, you know. Didn't have Spence scoring from first on a Kirky triple on my bingo card. But, you know, nice that we got the ball for him. And, you know, the stars were aligned.
That is John Schneider chatting to the media about Alejandro Kirk, who had his first career triple, an RBI triple for Alejandro Kirk. I got to say, I was a little afraid because of the way, I believe it was Josh Lowe pulled up in the field. I kind of was afraid they would give him, like, he kind of seemed to crumple almost to the field and didn't kind of let it bounce past him. I was wondering if they might not like screw Kirk a little and give the guy like a double plus an error or something like that. But hey, it was a triple as far as I'm aware, unless they've changed it in the last little while. But that is not enough, unfortunately. Despite scoring a run, the Blue Jays do lose today 3-2. They lose the series in St. Petersburg, Florida to the Tampa Bay Rays. The rubber match, or pardon me, the series finale goes tomorrow. It's not a rubber match because they lost both games to start, but the series finale goes tomorrow at Tropicana Field, our favorite stadium. You're listening to Jays Talk here on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Show Ali with you for about a little over 10 minutes. 416-870-0590, 1-888-666-0590, star 590 on your cell. Those are the numbers to call. 590-590, name and location. That's the People's Text line. It is always open. Let's before we go to the text line, let's chat a little bit about Kirk. Because Kirk, I thought, after Vladdy getting to a new career high in hits today, I would say the next most fun part of today's game, in a game where there, I don't know, not a lot of fun storylines when you lose 3-2 and scratch out 2 runs in 2 games. So Kirk's probably the next most interesting thing to talk about today. And first of all, great game for him defensively, which is something I think we've become used to. Brandon Lau caught stealing at second base. Kirk throws him out, and then the strike him out, throw him out. A double play in the bottom of the 6th inning with Kirk picking off Aranda at third. Terrific throw from Kirk. Like, he is just so good defensively. You add on his pitch framing ability. He is one of the better defensive catchers across Major League Baseball. And, you know, the ball blocking ability when pitches are kind of bouncing around near the plate out there. He is very, very good defensively. Elite, I would argue, defensively. Now, offensively, of course, that is the question mark. We have really never seen Kirk recapture the form that propelled him to the 2022 All-Star game as the starter for the American League when it comes to catchers. And coming into today's game, these are his stat lines, right? He had an OPS of 660, batting average of 247, 5 home runs, 49 RBI. Not ideal. He did have the big offensive moment, as you heard Schneider discussing, the first triple of his career. It's probably like an inside the park home run if it's like a slightly faster guy, which is kind of funny. But overall, definitely a good day for Kirk. Overall as well, he's an interesting guy to try and gauge because we've talked about this a little bit, but since Danny Jansen got traded on July 27th, so right before, if you guys remember, Jano got traded just before the deadline, Kirk's stats are not terrible, right? So since Jano's no longer a Blue Jay, an OPS for Kirk of 744, an average of 281, he has 3 home runs and 25 RBI in 41 games played. So more than half of his season-long offensive production have come since Danny Jansen had been dealt to the Red Sox. And if Kirk can be an even average, I would argue, offensive player alongside being an elite defensive catcher, I think you're okay with Kirk as your 1A catcher in 2025. Of course, the other part of this conversation, of any of these conversations, is the money conversation. Because, you know, I mean, we live in a world where no one's like, is Kirk even catching 100 games next season? Probably not. And that's if you're baking in him being 100% healthy. And I mean, few people are, especially when you get down towards the end of the season. So, you know, what's the number are you baking in for Kirk in terms of catching? And if that's the case, how much money do you need to allocate to your 1B catcher? So if you look at some of the money things for Kirk, he went into his first RBR this season, 2024. He avoided arbitration. He's being paid $2.8 million. He'll probably get paid, I'm going to roughly guesstimate, around $4 million in 2025. So how much are you realistically spending on a 1B catcher if you are aiming to, as Barker says, buy 2 free agent thumpers. So if you're saying, let's say $20 million on one thumper, and let's say $25 million on another thumper. We're talking like AAV here, right? So that's $45 million spread over two guys. I'm just spitballing numbers here. Over two guys next season. And then you're giving Vladdy a raise in some fashion. You're giving Vladdy a raise from $20 million to $25 million, either via arbitration. He's making 19.9 now. So even if you don't get him the new deal before the arbitration hearings and so on, he is going to get probably, I'm guessing, $25 million, which I think would be a record for arbitration, frankly, for first baseman. But he's going to get a fair amount of money either way. If he gets a new deal, I'm sure they're going to pay him a little bit more to wipe out next year's deal, or we'll see if he does sign a new deal, where that deal starts. But either way, I mean, you're giving Vladdy a raise in some way, shape, or form, be it $5 or $10 million. So how much should you really be spending on the 1B catcher? And I was curious to see what the numbers look like for a lot of these guys right now. And I mean, the truth is, Kirk is the 18th highest paid catcher in Major League Baseball right now. Now, of course, that's a bit misleading just because you go down the list a little bit. William Contreras, Francisco Alvarez, Adley Rutschman, Gabriel Moreno, Logan O'Hoppe. These guys all making around $760,000. Can you imagine if it was million? $760,000 because they're still really young. They're on their pre-arb deals. So they're kind of they skew it a little bit. But guys who have actually made money, I mean, Kyle Higashioka might be available as a free agent. He's played relatively well since being dealt from the Yankees to the Padres in the Juan Soto deal. Kyle Higashioka making $2.18 million. He's probably played himself into a better contract. Yasmani Grandal is making $2.5. He's going to make around that much. I mean, even Jose Trevino, who's looked at as another really good defensive catcher with the Yankees, he's making $2.73 million, right? So, I mean, you look above that. I mean, Jano's making 5.2. Victor Caratini's making 6. Christian Vasquez making 10. James McCann's making 10.15. So it's just I'm not sure you can really be spending oodles of money on the backup catcher position next year. If that's the case, then I think you're going to be seeing a lot of Alejandro Kirk. Whether you like it or not, you're going to be seeing a lot of Kirk because he is relatively cost effective at a relatively young age. But I mean, will the body hold up next year? Will he be the guy he has been since Jano has gotten traded for most of the 2025 season? That's a question mark. That's a question mark. Let's go to the text line, 590-590, name and location. Again, standard data and messaging rates may apply. So there's no name on this one. Mentioning something from the TV broadcast. I will admit I didn't hear what Dan and Buck were talking about today because obviously we're here at Baseball Control listening to the radio broadcast. But the text says, lost some respect for Dan and Buck today, who are making a big deal out of the White Sox losing. Guess what? The Blue Jays aren't that much better. Please don't compare your record to them. They're both bad teams. Okay, look. That is fair that both teams are bad and that both teams are going to miss the playoffs. Having said that, the White Sox do exist in a league of their own this year. I don't think it's fair to knock Dan and Buck for talking about the White Sox in a different sense. The White Sox have lost. I haven't seen if they played yet today, but they have lost 118 games this season. They have won 36 ball games all year. Even the next worst team by losses, okay? The next worst team in all of Major League Baseball are the Marlins. The Marlins have lost 98 games. So that means the Marlins who are the second worst team in Major League Baseball by losses, have lost 20 fewer games than the Chicago White Sox. I'm not sure there is a I'm genuinely unsure if there's a comparison with the White Sox to literally any other team in Major League Baseball, which is kind of unfortunate. I do genuinely feel bad for White Sox fans. Less so for White Sox management, but kind of for the players to a certain extent as well. But boy, that is a situation that is incomparable, I think, to anyone else across Major League Baseball this season. I just wanted to put that out there. Let's see. There's a text here from Shane in Brockville. Shane, always nice hearing from you. He says, last caller is right. Coaching staff, front office is horrible at evaluating, developing talent, period. I mean, I think they're not the worst I think I've ever seen, but I've said this a million times. I do think it is true that after so many years without results and the farm system being relatively barren, and many of you guys have brought this up before, either via call or via text, about how, when Shapiro came in, he kind of scolded Alex Anthopoulos for, kind of trading the farm for the chances in 2015 and 2016. And then they kind of we have to rebuild the farm system now. I think that is a valid criticism to point out because it's not as though the farm system has been a great strength for the Blue Jays. Now, of course, at the deadline, they did make some moves to recoup some value, but does that really mean we're looking at this whole situation all that differently? I'm going to say probably not, right? So, this change is still warranted, I think, in the offseason, but I mean, there's going to be a whole hell of a lot of change come this next offseason, whether we like it or not, although I'm willing to bet most Blue Jays fans are very much looking forward to that. Jen in Toronto on the text line, again, 590, name and location. Jen says, and it's always nice to hear from you, Jen. Jen says, what is the plan for Springer? He is horrid as leadoff. Who cares about this year? Year's over. But what about 2025? He seems to ground out to short or to third often. I'll be curious to see what they do with Springer going forward, right? Because I think to a certain extent it matters who is on the team when it comes to free agent thumpers, to borrow Barker's term once again. It also matters what Bo is doing next year as well. I mean, you got to think the fractured middle finger is not something that's going to keep him out of the spring. So if he is completely healthy between now and then he's going to be available for a full, a normal quote unquote off season after the finger heals in a month or so. So let's say Bo is a part of this conversation and he's not on another team. I wouldn't mind seeing Bo bat leadoff, frankly. I mean, if you're batting Bo leadoff and you're batting Springer lower in the order, the problem is I think you really do need these thumpers, so to speak, so you can have Springer and I would say Kirk be batting like 5th or 6th, let's say, right? Like in theory, you could have Bo bat leadoff, you could have Vladdy bat second, and then you could have your two thumpers, whoever they are, bat 3, 4, and then bat Springer and Kirk in whatever order you want, 5, 6. Obviously depends on the pitcher and so on, but I wouldn't hate that honestly as a solution. I don't know if the Jays are actually going to do that or not, if only because how often have we seen them go out there and actually take Springer out of the leadoff spot? And there is something to be said for leaving players in spots where they're most comfortable, vis-a-vis Vladdy batting third most of the season this year. But I don't know. Like if you're going to be getting 2 more thumpers to be playing and giving you big time ABs and 30 plus home runs and 100 RBI or something close to it every year, then I don't know. You better be at least considering batting George Springer a little lower. That's all I'll say. Appreciate you being with us on Blue Jays Baseball, brought to you by the local family-owned Crown Rest Control Centers in Etobicoke and Streetsville, Ontario. Protect your vehicle from rust today. Find your local family-owned Crown at crown.com, Canada's #1 rust protection. Appreciate all the calls. Appreciate the texts. 590, name and location. For Ben Schulman, Chris LaRue, Tom Young, Nick Blackmore, I'm Show Ali. That does it for us. I am out of here. I am back tomorrow to put a bow on the series at the Trop. Have a great Saturday night, everyone. We'll talk to you later.
Has been Major League Baseball play-by-play on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app.
Why do I love calling this game?
Calling this game.
Calling this game.
Calling this game.
Why do I love calling this game? It's because I get a chance to bring some joy into people's lives.
Anything can happen on a baseball field.
We've got a new game.
It's perfectly unscripted theater.
Everybody on their feet.
Because you never know what you're going to see on a given day.
It is bedlam at the bank as Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top.
There's just something about baseball on the radio.
Something about the way wood hits leather.
A swing and a drive to deep left center.
The way leather hits dirt.
And he made the play. Oh, my.
The way a deep fly ball sounds like it's about to change history.
High fly ball to center field. It's hit pretty well toward the wall.
Until the cleats hit the grass, hit the crushed brick, and then nothing but sky and a silent crowd.
That ball's high.
Until leather hits leather and 40,000 fans lose their collective minds.
In a perfect symphony of chaos.
He jumped up on top of the wall, balanced himself, and caught it.
The way nothing triumphs a perfectly honest call.
I don't believe what I just saw.
And the way the right voice can make a moment live forever.
Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Outsiders may think this is just two teams.
The ball, a bat, and a microphone, but no.
For over 100 years, this has been the soundtrack of the American pastime.
He struck him out looking. It's over. It's over. The Rangers have won the World Series.
The soundtrack of summer. This is Major League Baseball on the radio.
Right now on Sirius XM.
All rise.
Coming in 5.
Get ready to play.
4.
Get up. Get up.
3.
Can you believe it? Put your seatbelt on.
Wow. Talk about the game and all the stories on MLB Network Radio, Sirius XM 89, and the Sirius XM app.
Explained, if that makes sense. So, I feel like I don't want to say I'm glad that I struggled because you're never glad, but it was nice to go through that, kind of like make your way out and know why it was happening. And you know what I mean? Just learn more about yourself.
Sure.
That's been cool. Obviously, like getting traded here, like you just expect a first place team to be like a ton of old vet guys. And man, I mean, Jose and Clase and some of the pitchers and stuff, but like it's a lot of young guys that can do a lot of different things. And that's what's cool to me. It's a bunch of utility guys, that play infield, outfield, and they all play hard. And that's been cool just to kind of, have that dynamic of a team be this good. So that's been really cool too.
SiriusXM has soccer covered end to end. SiriusXM FC. Hear live play-by-play and talk shows hosted by legends of the game. It's SiriusXM FC on Channel 157.
I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your SiriusXM MLB schedule for Saturday, September the 21st. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In Major League Baseball, 1:10 p.m. Cincinnati Reds take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Reds on Sirius 208, XM 175, and Internet 846. Pirates on Internet 861. 2:20 p.m. Chicago Cubs take on the Washington Nationals. Cubs on Sirius 209, XM 176, and Internet 844. Nationals on Internet 869. 4:05 p.m. Baltimore Orioles take on the Detroit Tigers. Orioles on Sirius 210, XM 177, and Internet 842. Tigers on Internet 849. 4:10 p.m. Boston Red Sox take on the Minnesota Twins. Red Sox on Sirius and XM channels 89, Internet 843. Twins on Internet 856. 4:10 p.m. Miami Marlins face the Atlanta Braves. Marlins on Sirius 211, XM 178, and Internet 854. Braves on Internet 841. 4:10 p.m. New York Mets take on the Philadelphia Phillies. Mets on Sirius 99, XM 179, and Internet 857. Phillies on Internet 860. National feed on Sirius 109, XM 182, and Internet 969. 4:10 p.m. Tampa Bay Rays take on the Toronto Blue Jays. Rays on Sirius 121, XM 180, and Internet 866. Blue Jays on Internet 868. 7:05 p.m. Texas Rangers take on the Seattle Mariners. Rangers on Sirius 208, XM 175, and Internet 867. Mariners on Internet 864. Spanish feed on Internet 870. 7:10 p.m. Kansas City Royals take on the San Francisco Giants. Royals on Sirius 99, XM 179, and Internet 851. Giants on Internet 863. 7:10 p.m. Milwaukee Brewers take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Brewers on Sirius 121, XM 180, and Internet 855. Diamondbacks on Internet 840. 7:10 p.m. Houston Astros take on the LA Angels. Astros on Sirius 209, XM 176, and Internet 850. Angels on Internet 852. 7:15 p.m. St. Louis Cardinals take on the Cleveland Guardians. Cardinals on Sirius 103, XM 181, and Internet 865. Guardians on Internet 847. 8:40 p.m. San Diego Padres take on the Chicago White Sox. Padres on Sirius 210, XM 177, and Internet 862. White Sox on Internet 845. 9:07 p.m. Oakland A's take on the New York Yankees. A's on Sirius and XM channels 89, Internet 859. Yankees on Internet 858. 9:10 p.m. LA Dodgers take on the Colorado Rockies. Dodgers on Sirius 211, XM 178, and Internet 853. Rockies on Internet 848. Spanish feed on Internet 871. I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your Sirius XM MLB schedule for Saturday, September the 21st. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In Major League Baseball, 1:10 p.m. Cincinnati Reds take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Reds on Sirius 208, XM 175, and Internet 846. Pirates on Internet 861. 2:20 p.m. Chicago Cubs take on the Washington Nationals. Cubs on Sirius 209, XM 176, and Internet 844. Nationals on Internet 869. 4:05 p.m. Baltimore Orioles take on the Detroit Tigers. Orioles on Sirius 210, XM 177, and Internet 842. Tigers on Internet 849. 4:10 p.m. Boston Red Sox take on the Minnesota Twins. Red Sox on Sirius and XM channels 89, Internet 843. Twins on Internet 856. 4:10 p.m., Miami Marlins face the Atlanta Braves. Marlins on Sirius 211 XM 178 and Internet 854. Braves on Internet 841. 4:10 p.m., New York Mets take on the Philadelphia Phillies. Mets on Sirius 99 XM 179 and Internet 857. Phillies on Internet 860. National feed on Sirius 109 XM 182 and Internet 969. 4:10 p.m., Tampa Bay Rays take on the Toronto Blue Jays. Rays on Sirius 121 XM 180 and Internet 866. Blue Jays on Internet 868. 7:05 p.m., Texas Rangers take on the Seattle Mariners. Rangers on Sirius 208 XM 175 and Internet 867. Mariners on Internet 864.
Follow every second of the action on NHL Network Radio. From behind the bench to every